Just when I thought I couldn't find my way out, yeah, I searched the God in me to find my way out. I know it can seem way out, but the Creator flows to and through me from way out. I'm talking way out, yeah, yeah, yeah. See, if you believe in the God in you, it's a better place. Creating the force and the power to live a better day. Just know that love and joy and peace is one in all of the same space. That you were chosen just like God. Can mine, the earth. Can mine. How can mine your energy? That's right. How can mine say? Only you can make the change. How can mine shine your energy? How can mine shine so bright from darkness to light. Hey, 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 hey. From darkness to light. Yeah. And you'll find your way out. Yeah, yeah. Oh, it won't seem way out. Yeah, yeah, yeah. The power of God will flow through you from way out.
Listen, I know YouTube don't know what to do with me in this algorithm, honey. 1 minute I'm talking about relationships, the next one I'm talking about the Hebrew Israelites. Then I'm on Sonetter. Nobody knows, they don't know what to do with this algorithm of mine, you know. But the thing about my channel is that I like to cover everything. You know, I don't care. You know, I'm a Gemini. I have different interests. And the craziest thing about today was that I found out this interview that Nick Fuentes did with Hunter Biden. I thought it was really crazy. And I wanted to talk about it. I think it's really interesting. If anyone wants to come up, you know, it's an open panel if you want to come up and talk about it. But I think it's really interesting how this whole thing went down. If you haven't seen it, we're going to review it here. Like to tell a story, like to hear it. Here it goes. Let's go.
Why are you a Nazi?
Inclusion has been our greatest strength. Diversity has been our greatest strength.
White people do feel like we are being boxed out.
A 26-year-old white kid doesn't feel like he has access because he's been canceled, and the problem is black people.
I didn't say the problem's black people.
Well, you just did, Nick. You just
I said the problem is crime, and we know who's doing the crime in Chicago.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Yes.
About the Holocaust things?
About that. We get to say whatever we want on the internet. We get to deny the Holocaust. As far as Jews are concerned in general, I think that everybody in the country should be treated with dignity and respect and have their civil rights.
Child, this is just the intro to this nonsense. This is the intro. I mean, Jesus.
What do you think about somebody like Mamdani?
Personally, I don't like him. Like, for example, on 4th of July, when he takes the opportunity to sit there with, let's be honest, not a single white person.
What about fucking Donald Trump? There's no ideological core to Donald Trump.
No, I agree with you.
Don Jr. got the largest loan ever given by the department.
Man, child, I hope, listen, y'all, they're talking so wild on here. I don't even know what's going to happen, but I just had to cover it because I just think it's crazy. Let's go.
Defense.
Vance owes his entire political career to Peter Thiel. Whichever firm is the one to develop ASI, that could confer dictatorial-like powers upon the CEO of that company.
Everything that we think about the way in which we exist in the world completely changes.
Increasingly with Uber, Airbnb, banking apps, you can't live your life without the tech platform.
Everything that AI is built on is ours. That's what they're stealing from us. I want to find common ground of how much of a shithead Donald Trump is. We can get there. Okay.
Ciao, y'all. Are y'all aware of this interview? Crazy. It starts just that alone. All right, so let's get into it.
The kind of first question that I had whenever I caught wind that you wanted to do an interview like this is, why now? What made you want to sit down for this kind of interview?
Well, I think it's an interesting conversation to have all of us here. And, I think it's a moment in our country when there's a lot of realignment. I think that people recognize, especially in the past couple of years, I'm like a non-conventional critic, maybe, of what's happening. And so I think it'll be an interesting, productive conversation. I think it'll be different.
But I mean, specifically, because we kind of share a publicist, I heard that you wanted to kind of... Okay, we have a publicist that you hit up, and you said that you wanted to talk to someone who would give you kind of a fair shot to clear up some things and maybe some misconceptions about you and the things you believe.
Absolutely, yeah. I think that I'm somebody who I think, like you, actually, maybe we have this in common, is kind of pigeonholed in a certain way for things that we've done in the past or things that we've said.
I'm a crackhead.
But I'm racist.
Whose fault is that? You know what I'm saying? Right. Hunter Biden got caught smoking crack. He said he's a crackhead. Let's go.
Right?
I got pigeonholed there. Mine is true. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, mine's a little
He
true.
said mine is
Maybe a
true.
little, no. But yeah, so I think it'd be good to clear up some of the misrepresentations and put out something accurate.
So what do you think is the most misrepresented thing about you?
Well, I think really the whole image everybody has about me. When you mentioned me, I think on a recent show, you said you want to ask me, why are you a Nazi?
Yeah.
And that's how everybody knows me. Everybody thinks of me as white supremacist Nazi. And I don't think that's really true at all. I think that we definitely have different values. I mean, you're more from the left, I'm more from the right, but I don't think I'm a hater. I'm not a hateful person.
It is Heil Hitler Friday. Heil Hitler, all my niggas Nazis.
Morgan
Stop.
Hitler was very fucking cool.
Yes, I do.
One of the
And I'm tired of pretending he's not.
So what's the thing about, I guess, traditional Nazism that you think you disagree with the most?
Well, it's a non-Christian ideology. So, I mean, look, I believe that race is real, as the Nazis did, but I don't think it utterly defines a person. As a Christian, I think we're all created beings. I do believe there's such a thing as a universal human community. And so I think it's a cruel ideology. I've said this on my show, by the way, but I mean, that would maybe be the fundamental.
Did you always feel that way?
Always, yeah, absolutely.
So even whenever you were younger and stuff?
I did. But, you got to recognize times have changed. 10 years ago, we had a totally different
So what was he saying? Grifting. The number one grifter, Nick Fuentes.
political world. The regulation and policing of speech, what you would call wokeness, I think was at an all-time high when I got started as a very young man.
What you would call wokeness?
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, and I think, I mean, would you not
maybe
say there
him,
were
maybe
some
him,
excesses maybe in those days?
Yeah, in those days, I wasn't doing too well, so I wasn't paying much attention. Anyway, I would love to hear, and I'm not asking you to retract everything that you've ever said and all or anything, but I said that I would love to talk to you because number one, I told you this, is that I think you're really smart. And I think that with that comes in a real responsibility. And you have an audience. And I have a friend whose son is my daughter's age, maybe 28, we got your age. And he's really smart. And he is a big fan of yours. And so by virtue of the relationship, I got to learn what it is why he is a fan of yours. And none of it has to.
Why do you think that Hunter Biden's coming out doing more interviews? And what do you think this is about? Do you think he's trying to get into politics? What do y'all think the play is here?
Do with, I would hope you agree, really egregious things that you've said in the past about the Holocaust or about,
Did the Jews ever talk about the 100 million whites that died in World War II? Or do they just bitch and moan about the so-called 6 million Jews that died?
And so it's just nice to poke holes in it and say, it's not 6 million.
6 million? I don't think so.
And I don't even know, I think I've heard you since kind of rescind a lot of that.
You concede that 6 million Jews died in the Holocaust.
Possibly more. Possibly, we're discovering all the time. So it could maybe even be more than that.
But what he agrees with is kind of the anger about the situation that particularly your generation finds yourself in. I know that to be real.
So is this like a cleanup campaign for Nick Fuentes? Are they trying to get him he said all this stuff, we'll get Hunter Biden to interview him and then maybe he can run. Somebody's about to run for office. Something about this is telling me that somebody is about to run for office that's sitting around here.
And I think that there, maybe my reasons for recognizing that anger as being legitimate and my targets are different than yours. I just wanted to hear from you. When you say you're canceled by the right in 2016.
Yes.
I almost felt like in preparing to meet you now is that your reaction to that was to just dig deeper and deeper into kind of the outsider kind of radical say anything for the purpose of generating the attention to build an audience. Is that true? And it's not an accusation. I really mean it. I want this to be a conversation as much as possible.
I mean, there's certainly some truth to that, but I think that might be overstating it a little bit because I really got canceled by the right and the left.
Yeah.
And back in those days in 2017, you had these far left journalists at Huffington Post, Right Wing Watch, ADL, SPLC. And I really believe they were on a mission to find extremist rhetoric, the white nationalist, neo-Nazi boogeyman, all that kind of stuff. And they would look at someone like myself, 18, and if I was being serious or joking, things taken out of context, they would clip it, post it, and they wanted me to be the villain. And I think they wanted a lot of people to be the villain. I think the left.
How can you say a bunch of stuff like the things that you've been saying and not feel like you should be painted as a villain? Like, what are you talking about, bro? Like, what?
Left, in a way, kind of created this climate where I think they pushed a lot of people farther to the right.
No, by the way, that very well may be true, but you gave them a lot of ammunition.
That's true.
You know, I mean, I hope that some of those things that you said in the past are not things that you believed in and that are you meant just to engender like a really radical kind of response. I mean, is that true or not?
Well, you know, again, I think that back in those days, you could not say anything. In 2017, 2018, cancel culture was so in overdrive. Any joke, any edgelording, anything.
Why are they showing Beyonce? This is weird.
Like that, they would, first of all, there's no sense of humor.
I'm so old. I don't even.
Okay, well, to break it down for you, so the dawn of wokeness, as it's known today, I think was in like the post-Trump era. After Trump won the election in 2016, there was a big movement to deplatform and kind of push away those who, I guess, the left feel like had galvanized them into the presidency. So there was this big idea that if you push people off mainstream social media platforms, they would go away. Now we know through Trump's reelection, that's not even true. But at the time, that was the mantra. Problematic viewpoints needed to be silenced, tucked away somewhere, and they would just sort of die in isolation. So I think that was the climate where you first got started, 2017. That time period was like crucial for getting people off mainstream platforms. Is that correct?
Yeah, and I would say that you got to get into the psychology of those days. It felt like anybody that wasn't on board with the most progressive agenda had no options. There was just no alternative. It was going to be progressive, liberal, feminist, BLM, all that kind of stuff. And if you were to the right of John McCain, you're no platformed. Censored, banned from all the platforms, you're fired from your job, you're ostracized socially. And I think what happened really in 2021 when Trump got banned from the platforms is it felt like 70 million people got canceled. 70 million people that voted for Trump, or 60, 70 million people, we were all felt like, oh, so if Trump is out of politics and we're all banned from the platforms, then how is there any redress for our grievances? Do we just have to shut up and get with the program and we're all going to be progressive? And
So now what they've done now is turn it right against the other side. They've taken whatever this feeling is, they feel like they were being demonized, whatever, and now they're doing it against the left side. Now I'm not a leftist, I'm not a rightist, I'm not either one, but he's complaining about how they got deplatformed, they got this. It was because of the rhetoric, of course. But now they're doing the exact same thing on the other side. That's what's crazy about it. Let's go.
I think that drove people to a far more radical place where people said, well, what really is a solution? We can't talk. We can't express ourselves. We can't participate in the process or run for office. And I was one of the people saying that's exactly what's going to happen. It's going to drive people to extremism. If you don't talk, if people don't feel like they have a seat at the table and enfranchisement, I think then they start exploring options outside the system, outside of the political process, the democratic process. So I think it's self-inflicted in many ways.
So you feel like after the mass deplatforming in 2021, whenever people on the right got pushed to platforms like Parler, Gab, Rumble, etc., the lack of discourse and like the political singularity of those platforms created more extremism?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because look, you take Trump off of Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and I predicted this in 21. I said, watch, you're going to see alternative social media rise because some venture capitalist is going to see there's a huge market of 70 million people that are going to follow Trump because Trump is no platformed. And that's exactly what happened. Rumble blew up, Elon bought Twitter. And what happened when you had total free speech on these platforms? Well, Twitter now resembles 4chan. And now, there's no gatekeepers. And I think it did push people in a radical direction. And honestly, people are even blowing past me. Now there's like mainstream normie types that are even blowing past me in terms of how radical they are. People start saying things like, there's no political solution. There's going to be a civil war. We need a revolution. And I think that's because the message from the left was you're crushed. You have no options. You can't win. There's no alternative. Trump is going to be indicted and charged and can't run. You can't be on Twitter. You can't have a job. And so people started to say, okay, well, we still exist. We're still here. We still have these concerns. What do we do now? And then people start to say, well, we need need a revolution. And I'm one of the only people saying, no, we should still engage in the process and talk with each other. And it's not all one-sided. I think there's problems on the left and the right, but I certainly think it takes two to tango.
Okay, so there, we agree. I think that there are problems on the left and the right. And I don't disagree with some of the things that you just said. I guess I just came to a different conclusion that there are some things that people should be deplatformed for. Not that they can't say it where they want to say it, but I think that it's a right of anybody.
Okay, top 3 things. What do you think?
There's a difference between being able to say that you're proud of your white heritage and also being just flat out racist. I think that there's a difference between saying you're proud of your Christian heritage and the white culture from what you come from and Nazis, or that you adopt the Nazism as a legitimate ideology. I think that there's a difference between saying that you disagree with the United States policy as it relates to Israel and saying that the Holocaust didn't exist.
That was
Shouts out to Hunter Biden. Point for Hunter. I need to take some score on this thing. 1 point Hunter Biden. Exactly. See, Nick Fuentes is trying to be like the victim. Oh, we weren't allowed to talk. We weren't allowed to have our freedom of speech. And then they all of a sudden, and that's how this whole thing came about. Hunter Biden saying no, that y'all was wilding. Y'all was talking real reckless and stuff on these platforms. And there's certain things you shouldn't be able to say. Let's go.
like, Mom, Dad, Hitler was awesome. Hitler was right. And the Holocaust didn't happen. And my parents were like, we cannot believe.
Those would be top three things in my mind. I know that you believe that some people took you out of context. And I do agree. Look, on both the right and the left, there are these gatekeepers, 100%.
Hey, I just dropped the link in the chat for you. Go ahead, come on up. But yeah, this is crazy. But I think Hunter Biden's gonna give it to him. He actually is gonna start getting with Nick Fuentes. Watch.
And look at me. The mainstream press just destroyed me for 7 years without any real kind of reflection about what they were doing. I do think that
it doesn't matter if a person have done drugs or not. Like, dude, people are like, oh, why would you listen to a crackhead? It ain't got nothing to do with about being a crackhead. It's about like, dude, what is he saying? What he's saying makes sense? Because half these people in office and stuff be on coke and everything, looking all crazy. In the exact office right now, people looking like they coked out. So yeah, he might have smoked some crack or whatever, but he ain't. I don't know if he's still doing it. But hell, who gives a shit? He making sense right now. So whatever.
some of those things are legitimate reasons to say, we don't want you on our, on our commercial platform. Would you agree with that? I mean, you just said, for instance, people calling for an armed revolution, like people calling for actual violence. You're opposed to.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm against violence.
Yeah.
And I do think those are one of the legitimate things that should be taken from the platform. There's a lot of the stuff on social media I don't agree with, but again, what started to happen is there was this like editorial censorship where certain ideas were banned. And it was such a broad brush and also totally opaque and ad hoc. You'd be on YouTube, like I was, for example, they banned me for life and didn't even give me a reason, not a specific.
What do you think so far? What Nick Fuentes being like crying like he is the victim? Because I mean, to me, like, bro, you saying a lot of wild stuff, Nick Fuentes. What's your thought, Ox? You there?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Right now I'm listening in. I'm trying to absorb stuff in totality. I saw you was up, so I pulled up. I know you're always talking about a great subject matter. So I'm just trying to get in more information before I fully respond.
Okay, so let's go. Don't deny our rights because you don't like what he's saying. I don't believe that his rights should be denied. I believe he should have freedom of speech, but I think that the things that he's saying are very harmful. I'm sorry, guys.
Hey, look, Janice, let me say this to you. Isn't it crazy how social media has changed the geography of the media?
Yeah.
It goes to show you how powerful individuals can be if we band together on one mind, one band, one sound. If we band together.
Exactly. Like listen, Nick Fuentes is the platform Myron Gain. I remember even Cynthia G when she was giving her rhetoric.
Wait, Myron got deplatformed?
He did at one point. He's back on now with Fresh and Fit, but at one point he couldn't even do his show. He was like replatformed off YouTube at least. He had to go to Rumble, but that's the reason why Rumble came about, because people like Nick Fuentes, him, and Myron, and all the people were saying all this
Andrew
wild
Tate.
stuff. Yes, yeah. Oh my God, and Andrew Tate is just one of the most worst ones, and and come to find out now he's doing child trafficking. So all that stuff all comes together, and you know, people they're trying to guise it under freedom of speech, but it's like, you know, some of the stuff, the rhetoric is actually like calling people to be brutal and to like begin to this. I believe that's why you have this Nolan.
Do you think a lot of this stuff is harmful to individuals?
Hell yeah.
But let me play devil's advocate. But at the same time, do you think the media, Maniac European Devils in Actions, media, spell it out, Maniac European Devils in Action, do you think that the media is also harmful? Because people need options. They need to be able to choose what they digest. And the only thing that we're getting is the media. Do you think the media is harmful too? If social media didn't exist.
I think social media is way worse than the regular media, because you get to like main vein all the stuff. If you like keep watching the same stuff all day long, your world will just be that. You will think that everything in the world is just that. The algorithm will feed it more to you, and then you could become psychotic about that stuff, and you will think that this is what's going on in the world. But you know how you find out what's really going on in the world is take your email off of like YouTube and then scroll, because you'll find out that all this stuff is catered directly to you. It's repeating the same thing over and over to you. But when you actually just get on YouTube without putting your email in, you'll see that the whole algorithm completely changes into something like you'll be like, damn, this is boring. But once you begin to feed into it, then you think it gives you back exactly what you're looking for. And so imagine a person is constantly looking up white supremacists or anti-Semitic or whatever kind of like, you know, rhetoric. It keeps feeding them that and feeding them. Then they become hateful and angry and whatever. Just like the whole red pill thing. I'm sure half of these people, the reason why they're so angry with women, all they're seeing is these women are thoughts. These women suck. These women, they're just watching it over and over again. And it's all they're getting because that's all they're watching. And it's like a feedback loop that's happening. And so then they're just seeing this rhetoric continue going on. But the news doesn't do that. You watch the news, they give you a program thing about what they feel like you should watch. That's it when you get up off of there. But with social media, when you have like content creators, it's going to give you more of what you're looking for. You know what I'm saying? Yes.
So you think social media is propaganda, but you don't think that the media is propaganda?
I believe that the media could be propaganda, but I do also believe that the social media aspect of it with the algorithm and how it continues a feedback loop of information where it's constantly giving you whatever it is that you keep watching. The more that you watch it, the more they give it to you. That is a dangerous like loop. It's a dangerous thing to be into. Black women are thoughts, and so is your mammy. Okay. Anyways, let's go. Let's play some more of this.
Specific quote, not a specific infraction. And so you don't know what the rules are. You don't know what the process is. They just take you down. And especially now when everything is digital, that's not just the social platforms. It's the other ones like Uber, Airbnb, whatever. It feels like you're being denied almost something like a civil right. The social platforms are the modern public square. Increasingly with Uber, Airbnb, the banking apps, you can't live your life without the tech platforms. And it felt like if you just simply had the wrong opinions or you were the wrong kind of person, you were being deprived of like a basic civil right or being able to participate in society. So, you know, and I think maybe that's an area of collaboration where we recognize maybe it is a civil right to use the digital platforms, but here are the rules. Here's what you can say. Here's what you can't say. Here's the process. Maybe there's a reconciliation mechanism, but I mean, the censorship was just out of control. I don't think anyone disagrees there's a reasonable limit though.
What do you think about the censorship that's happening currently in social media? Do you think that it's necessary? I believe it is. Someone says statistics alone on
Genesis. I can't
marriage.
Say nothing.
You can't say nothing? You don't think so?
I'm driving.
Oh, okay. The statistic alone on marriage and single motherhood is proof that black women are thoughts. Okay. Well, it takes two to tango, sir. So how do black women become single mothers? Are they just having babies by just creating them themselves, or is some man like getting it in with them and getting them pregnant? Let's cut that out, y'all. Y'all ridiculous.
Yeah, no, I guess what I'm saying is that I don't see that as a result of left wing or right wing ideology. I view that kind of level of deplatforming. Look, I was debanked. I was debanked before I was ever even charged with anything. I lost every bank account. It took me, 9 months once the Trump administration, said that they were starting an investigation into me to be able to actually get a bank account again. And I don't want to tell you the bank because tomorrow they may debank me again. But my point is that those people are incredibly identifiable. I've been talking and going around and I say things like, I don't think we are nearly as divided as they're telling us we are. Because I do believe that there are an identifiable group of people that are responsible for an enormous amount of the discord and division because they make money off of it. I think that these social media companies that are controlled by 3, 4, 5, individuals have made it clear that they only care about one thing. They only care about how much money they can produce for themselves and, the people that hold stocks in their company, even to the degree where we know for certain that they're driving teenage girls to the highest levels of suicide by a factor, like exponential factors, directly related to the content that they're being pushed, and they won't do anything about it.
Right.
And so, to the same degree, I think they, a lot of what you call wokeness was maybe an illegitimate, but a financial decision based on a lot of these
Corporate psyop, maybe.
Corporate psyop.
Thank you.
I mean, by the way, exactly. I
just wanted to back up real quick. So you talked about certain people going too far. About 2.5 months ago, I visited a whites-only community in Hardy, Arkansas. And I don't know why. I guess coming from like a more like left-wing place, I'm from Seattle. I kind of assumed there was like a united front on the right for some reason. So I'm out there, I'm chilling with these dudes. They're like sword fighting, having barbecues. Overall, it was a good time for them. I had a hard time connecting with them because I don't agree with them, but it's all good. I was having fun for a couple days. And then like right as I was there, I guess you had hit them up on X or something and said like, hey, I don't want to associate with you guys. What happened there?
Well, that was really more.
I'm gonna just tell y'all. I don't know if that could be. I heard the community like failed. I don't know, or they had to get like government funding to even like keep it going. But that's interesting. That yeah. Nick Fuentes pulled away from them. Let's see what he had to say. Why?
More of a personal disagreement with the guy that founded it.
Yeah.
But I do think it's an interesting project. And it's interesting that got so much pushback, this whites-only community, because you know what? If you go to a lot of these different neighborhoods in major cities, there are ethnic enclaves. And it's not like they're...
I think that they said that he wouldn't be invited there. There was some kind of weird thing going on with that. So... because he's Hispanic or whatever. Let's go. There's
an explicit rule that you have to be a certain ethnicity, but we all know in Chicago and New York and LA, you got certain neighborhoods where it is 80, 90% one ethnicity.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of white people that say we kind of want something similar. I don't think there's anything.
But Nick,
okay, let's back up. If you want to talk about the histories of New York and Chicago, I feel like that was also a conscious decision that was made like after the Civil Rights Act.
Blacks only. It's in Cabrini Green, where Mayor Daley made everybody that was black live in the Cabrini Green. I mean, it's not that wasn't by choice. It's not by choice that these ethnic enclaves are 80 or 90%, whatever that ethnicity is. It's because that's the only place in which they had an opportunity to live unbothered.
Shouts out to Hunter Biden. I don't know where Nick Fuentes grew up or why is he so stupid about the American history or whatever. He just he keeps his eyes closed. But honey, no one's gonna choose live in the projects, bro. Nobody just say like, I want to live in the project with all these broke people and struggling, whatever. No one. Yes, I like this conversation because look for common ground. That's important in my opinion. Exactly, me too. Let's go.
Or where they were told that they had to live because of the historical fact that they could not move into other neighborhoods. You could not move into parts of South Chicago without, being stoned.
Right.
Literally. Right.
Yeah.
And so like that. So it's not as if those ethnic enclaves are there by choice. And so that
also ethnic enclaves do exist for like specific variations of different Europeans. Like, there is like places that are chocolate, like South Philly's full of Italians.
there's a little Italy and there's a little Korea.
I
and
think
there's
the
little
issue,
Japan.
I always like, what confused me the most about the whites only community is like, there's just so many different kinds of white people in America. So like to establish a unified white culture with a place so diverse and full of like different regional flavors just kind of felt confusing to me, because that could mean a different thing depending on what part of the country or what European enclave you originated from. Like, we're Irish people from the Philly area. Can you compare that to like, surfers in San Diego or even
Boston Irish people are different from different people. Connecticut Irish people. Why do they think that people think that white people are a monolith? But honey, the down south white guy is not the same as the up north white guy. It's a different. I know because I lived in the Midwest. I lived on the East Coast. It's the white people are different in each place. So to think that they're all a monolith, that they should like just create this community and everybody gonna come there and get along, I don't think so. Because you're gonna have different white people with like different understandings about how they live and whatever. It's not gonna be what you think it's gonna be. Let's go.
like Italian Americans in Staten Island. I don't know. Everything just feels so different. So when I got there, I was trying to identify what they meant by white culture. It wasn't really based on shared like cultural practices, but more the exclusion of people who weren't white. So they weren't like stoked on being European necessarily. They were more just like, oh, we're here because those people aren't here. So it just kind of felt more negative than constructive.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm not really involved with that project in particular, but I think that, look, I mean, you talk about the anger that's out there and the frustration.
Honey, you couldn't be a part of it because they looked at you as a Latino, even though you're white. They didn't see you as a lily white, what they were trying to do with their community. Stop it.
I think part of the frustration, let's be honest, is that white people do feel like we are being boxed out in major cities in the country. And it feels like, look, there's a little Haiti and there's various ethnic enclaves where you get that local culture and they do their, cultural festivals and that sort of thing. And white people feel like they're being pushed out and they want a space where things are familiar.
Do you feel the same way about the Italian festival that happens in every city?
Well, here's a good example.
Or St. Patrick's Day?
Well, there's no Irish neighborhood in Chicago. Little
sure
Italy.
There is.
I mean, there's some remnant.
He is lying. It's a big Irish community in Chicago. They actually color the damn river green during St. Patrick's Day. This guy is lying, bro. Stop it.
Bridgeport.
Yeah.
It's important to note that, like, and I'm not trying to get into like a shouting match here, but as a family coming from a family who did leave Philadelphia in the 60s because of black migration from the South after the Civil Rights Act was passed, there was a sort of like mass flight of white people into the suburbs. And that kind of led to a homogenization of different cultures because they rushed so fast to build these like identical strip mall suburbs that it was very hard to maintain cultural bonds that made different European and white neighborhoods unique around like the 1950s and before. So I feel like the mass suburbanization is also a big factor that led to those like cultural bonds breaking.
Yeah, but why did that happen? I mean, a lot of the suburbanization is because of the race riots in the 1960s. People moved out because of the violence. My grandfather was in the National Guard in Chicago when after MLK got assassinated.
Moved out because of what violence? Based on what reason? Like they weren't just being violent? What are you talking about? There was man, come on, bro. Like I don't Nick Fuentes I wish he would have been born like about 10 years earlier and he would have some perspective, but he's younger and he's just going off of like whatever somebody told him and he has no context whatsoever.
Assassinated, the whole West Side burned to the ground. Yeah. And people didn't want to be around that anymore.
Why were the riots?
Yeah, MLK Jr. was assassinated.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so does that justify burning down the city?
No, I didn't say it justifies it, but it sure justifies an enormous amount of the anger, the same kind of anger that you feel about being left out, the same kind of anger that you're expressing right now.
It wasn't just MLK being assassinated. It was also police brutality that was going on. I think in Detroit, like somebody got killed by the police. It was not just MLK being assassinated. There was a lot of things going on during that time, and it caused mass riots. I think that a lot of those riots that was happening at the same time was not just about MLK being assassinated. I think there was like a young kid that got choked out by the police on some like Do the Right Thing level. If you ever seen Do the Right Thing, the movie, like got like choked out by the police, bro. And so people around the whole country started going in arms, just same way as Rodney King. So it was not just because of Martin Luther King, but that was also a catalyst. Let's go.
about the idea that you're culturally irrelevant, that you don't have a place in society. Imagine if you were a 26-year-old black man in 1968 and saw your hero be assassinated. And
I
nothing being
saw
done about it.
Trump get shot in the ear, and
Did he?
and I saw Charlie Kirk get shot, and I didn't see any cities get burned down. It's funny how
I
that
think
works.
it's a very, very, very different thing. I think
How
it's
is that different?
absolutely
Charlie
different
Kirk
thing.
got shot in the neck.
Yeah.
And liberals celebrated
whom?
all over social media by Tyler Robinson.
Yeah. Who is what?
Who is some liberal guy.
He is?
Mm-hmm.
But that,
He's got a transgender boyfriend.
does that makes him liberal? Because he's transgender? Because
I think
he's
so.
gay?
Well, because he's got a transgender boyfriend. Yeah, I think so.
It makes him liberal.
I think he was liberal. Yeah.
Man, shouts out to Hunter Biden because, man, I'm glad for him asking the questions he's asking because everybody wants to make everything about a liberal versus conservative, but there are gay people that are conservative. Like half of these politicians are like closeted gay conservatives. Stop it.
Well, he didn't come from a liberal
Hell, Nick Fuentes is gay and conservative. Stop it. He trying to pretend like he ain't gay.
family. He didn't come from a liberal enclave. He didn't come from a liberal background. He's not a minority. He was a Mormon, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And grew up in a Mormon household. And he went to a largely Mormon college.
Mm-hmm.
And he ended up committing an act of violence, according to the FBI and the authorities in Utah that charged him. How does that in any way compare to what we're talking about? I'm not justifying the violence that occurred after the death of Martin Luther King, but you're saying that that person, this Tyler, whoever his name is it was as disenfranchised as the African-American community in 1968 in inner cities?
Well, the question is who we want to live around.
I'm not living around blacks.
What the hell, bro? Oh my God. How was that the answer? He made a point and then his response was, well, the question is, who do you want to live around?
That person, this Tyler, whoever his name is it was as disenfranchised as the African-American community in 1968 in inner cities?
Well, the question is who we want to live around.
I'm not living around blacks. Sorry. I want white kids, and I don't want my white kids bringing home black people to marry.
And in the 1960s, the West Side burns down. We don't want to live around that. We don't want to live around a city that's
when
burning
that happened.
down.
That's not when the white flight happened.
It is.
No,
it was
is
a big
not.
response to it. Absolutely.
100% not.
Absolutely.
You make these historical connections that don't exist.
Shouts out to Hunter Biden. I don't know who he is, but you know what? I don't care how much crack he smoked, honey. He is on point. Man, shouts out to Hunter Biden for giving it to Nick Fuentes on this. Honey, he is giving it to him. Like, bro, you wrong, bro. You don't know what the F you're talking about. That's how they really feel. That's how they really feel in Mississippi and some parts of South Carolina, West Virginia, Texas. I live in my reality. I actually both them. When you go outside and touch grass, people are way more the same than they are different in my experience. Exactly. I believe so. I told you Black Americans will be their crutch. I don't know exactly what that is, but okay, let's go.
Part of it was potentially, but before that, what Mayor Daley did is made Chicago the most segregated city in the entire United States, other than Boston. When you would come from the South to Chicago, African Americans from the South, blacks in the South coming to Chicago would say that Chicago was twice the level of segregation and racism that occurred in the South. And so it wasn't as if you're coming into a situation.
And I'm gonna tell you what, same thing in Detroit. Detroit is still segregated, black versus white. Trust me, I know.
In which you're feeling in any way enfranchised by the community and the situation that you're in. And as many people left simply because of the idea that someone was black moving into their neighborhood as the violence that occurred after the assassination of Martin Luther King. So the numbers actually, pre-1968, when King was shot, you had more people leave the city because of the desegregation, because of the 1964 Civil Rights Act, than you did after the riots.
I think that's just not true. I think that the race riots were a huge driver of white flight. to the suburbs. I think it's just dishonest to say that's not the case.
Okay, so what's your point about all of this?
Well, we're talking about where people want to live.
Yeah, I know. So like what in 2026?
Well,
what's the
okay,
point?
how about in 2020 when Minneapolis burned to the ground? Or
That's
how about
Mayor
in the
shouts
summer of
out Mayor
2020
Coleman Young.
in
Yeah.
Chicago?
Minneapolis didn't burn to the ground.
It didn't?
No, I mean there were
BLM
parts
didn't
of it,
destroy
but-
Okay,
dozens of
if you
structures?
guys need a physical witness to
Now he's gonna get into BLM. See, listen, Nick Fuentes is so young, he don't even understand anything. He haven't done no research past his age group. I think he's getting all his information based on what people are telling him. And this younger, like I guess Generation Z or whatever the fuck the generation is, they have not done no research past Google. I don't think they talk to their grandparents. I don't think they talk to nobody. It's like, bro, what are you talking about, bro? I lived in Detroit. I know exactly why they flew out of Detroit. It was because they had killed somebody, and honey, people got so pissed off. There was black people sniping off of buildings like snipers. It got hectic out there. There's a movie called there's a movie about Detroit, about that whole thing. I forget what it's called. I gotta like look for something. It's burning or something like that. Detroit is burning. It's a movie. Go watch the. If anyone knows the movie where they talk about the Detroit riots, it started off because a young man got killed by the police, and then it started an entire riot. It had nothing to do with Martin Luther King because it was about police violence. And then the city, the people that was around, people were like, there was a thing called Black Bottom where all like the black Detroit people used to like go and party at. And honey, it got real hectic down there. He is racist, but I'm glad that Hunter Biden did like to correct him. I wish there was another black person there to correct him too. The fact they having conversations about black Americans without a black in the building is what we have to call out because they leaving out context. Yes, because listen, we had our own cities. Every time we have our own cities, what they do, they flood it out or burn it down. Honey, they've dropped bombs on cities in Oklahoma. Then in Philadelphia, they dropped bombs on groups of black people like trying to live amongst themselves. So even when we tried to be separatists and like do our own thing, they would fuck it up. Like, no, fuck that. You gotta like be a part of whatever. I don't know what they want us to be a part of. Now y'all getting too powerful. But we had our own doctors and everything in these communities. And now that we're in y'all community. Now we don't want y'all here and this, that, the other. We don't want to live with y'all. That's crazy to me. So you destroy our communities, and now we want to live decent. And now we don't want you to be in our community, but we don't want you to live good either. That's the sad part about the whole thing. Let's go.
what happened in Minneapolis. There were many structures that burned to the ground. Not the city, but there was, I would say, between 40 to 50 buildings off of Lake Street in the south side that did burn to the ground. But the most of the city was intact, but it was quite an intense situation.
People don't want to live around that. People don't want to live around that. You know, in Chicago, it rolled on into the summer, and it wasn't, let's say, the anger of the oppressed and the disenfranchised.
So
They
who's at
were
fault?
looting. They were looting and
Who's
carjacking.
they?
The criminals.
Are you saying that the problem with the 26-year-old white kid living in suburbia outside of Chicago and his feeling of being disenfranchised is because there was looting and rioting in Minneapolis by black people, and it's black people that are doing it?
Yeah. I mean, the problem
Are
with
you
Austin
really?
Metcalf was that he got stabbed in the neck at a track meet. And the problem with our city in Chicago is that the Magnificent
problem-
Mile is gone.
and the
Water Tower Place
the
is
problem-
gone.
What the fuck is he talking? I'm sorry. Like, is this what people are thinking? Is this what white youth think right now? Because if this is how their mind frame is going, now I see why they are hanging and beating up black folks. I mean, I see the thing the other day. This dude just punched the dude in his face and just beat him up. I'm like, is this what their overall? If they're following a person like this, is this the type of rhetoric that they're listening to? Crazy.
Because of all the crime.
Nick, and the type of an entire generation of African Americans is that they've been getting killed by cops for decades.
That's
What are
just
you
not
talking
true.
about, Nick?
Because they commit crime. And listen, it's not
Nick,
what?
that's not true. It's not
Oh,
true. Are
it
you saying
is.
that police brutality as it relates and racism in the police force, in the way in which police treat African Americans. Nick, you could grow up here like I did between Wilmington and Philadelphia. And if you were a black dentist and you lived in Wilmington and you commuted to Philadelphia, the chances of you being pulled over by a state trooper, either Delaware or in Pennsylvania, are about 50 times that would be if it was a white guy. 50 times. And so what you're trying to tell me is that the problem in America right now is that a 26-year-old white kid who lives in suburban Chicago doesn't feel like he has access because he's been canceled or he's been woke. And the problem is black people.
I didn't say the problem's black people.
Well, you just did, Nick. You just said
the problem is crime. And we know who's doing the crime in Chicago. The carjackings, shootings, teen takeovers. We know why there's no business on the Mag Mile anymore. And it's because they steal cars, they drive them through windows. And listen, black people are some of the biggest victims of the black crime. But we're not allowed to talk about it because of the racial
dimension. What do you mean
dimension.
You're not allowed to talk about it? We're talking about it right here.
Hey guys,
you have a platform in which millions of people listen to you, Nick.
I think
well, after Elon had to buy Twitter and open it up. It wasn't like that before. I was banned from everything for many years. So no, you weren't allowed to. You're right. We can talk about it now, but that's only because the good guys won.
Hey, what's up, guys? There's something I forgot to tell you about. We also just launched our own streaming platform.
Man, that is crazy. They launched their own streaming platform, guys.
Called C5.now. We have 5 films on there right now. Film number 1, The Art of Protest, made by the homies over at Indecline, who we interviewed a few months back. Film 2, Rat Film by Theo Anthony, set in Baltimore, investigates the lives and times of the rodent population through the eyes of the people who love the rats of Baltimore, study the rats of Baltimore, or are paid to execute and trap the rodents of Charm City. Documentary number 3, Star Cash by Haley Garrigus, an amazing Wall Street documentary that follows the lives of market predictors, that's right, stock analysts who stare at the planets to figure out what's going to happen with the money. Documentary number 4, it's called Physician Heal Thyself by director Asher Penn, a fascinating lifelong profile featuring tons of archival footage documenting a physician, psychiatrist, philosopher, sorcerer of the mind named Gabor Mate. Very influential dude as far as addiction and trauma and healing. He's about as good as it gets. He's the top dog in that realm. So check that documentary out. Documentary number 5 is my own. Had to put my own sauce on there to get the train moving. It is called Finding Orson, a 45-minute documentary that I shot over the course of a year and a half, trying to reunite a beloved friend and elderly community member named Rick Shore with his lost parrot named Orson.
Maybe he's just too embarrassed to admit that he doesn't want the bird anymore.
So those are the 5 films on C5.now, a totally independent creator.
I want to find common ground of how much of a shithead Donald Trump is. We can get there. We can get there. Okay. What I don't understand is how you didn't recognize that in 2016, and how you didn't recognize that in 2020, and how you didn't recognize that in 2024. Because Donald Trump hasn't. Because Donald Trump hasn't changed. Mm-hmm. Donald Trump hasn't changed at all. Donald Trump has been Donald Trump since he came out of the womb of a woman that was an immigrant to this country. And so, what I want to know, though, is that I don't know how we get past this idea that the biggest problem that you have with your personal situation and how you extrapolate that to the situation of other white kids that are your age, that feel disenfranchised, that feel left out, that feel they don't have a shot at the American dream, is because of black and brown people, because of Mexicans, because of Venezuelans, because of Haitians, it's always other, Nick, with you, it seems to me. And I've listened to a lot of the stuff.
Man, shouts out. Man, Hunter Biden is cooking him right now, bro. It's always somebody else's problem instead of your own. Oh, you guys are the reason why I'm a failure, whatever it is. No, it's not. We got our own problems.
It's always them. We need to build a wall. Where's the wall, Nick? He never built the wall. Why'd you vote for him in 2020? Why'd you vote for him in 2024?
I didn't vote for him in 2024.
Okay. My point being is that whenever you identify your problem as being something that is other, that you can point to, that's a minority, that is a group of people, that's the Jews, before, remember, all of us, it was the Irish Catholics who are committing the crime, who weren't allowed into bars, who weren't allowed into, because you know why? Because they were dirty, poor, non-Europeans. They were Irish. Every time it's wrong. Every time history has proven that to be wrong in the United States of America. every time. Inclusion has been our greatest strength. Diversity has been our greatest strength. And I hear you talk about this idea of white culture. What fucking white culture are you talking about, man? What
Shakespeare, Dante, Mozart. We're in Philadelphia, the founding fathers.
Yeah.
That's your white
How about
culture.
the Count of Monte Cristo? Would you consider that part of our white culture?
Sure.
Okay. Well, it was written by a black man in France in the 1700s.
In a milieu of European civilization.
So what?
Because you're picking out one example. It really
I'm not
is.
just picking out one example.
It really is.
Nick.
Listen.
Nick, I'm not. I really am not.
Hey guys, I think we're reaching what's called a rock and a hard place. Let's talk about Israel.
Let me respond.
But you know what? He made a good point. Is that a lot of things that were written that are considered white culture, including some of Shakespeare's writings, were written by black people. But he's gonna say, well, it was in a white community. Who gives a crap? Was it? I mean, did you really do the research in that? Was it a white community? I don't know. Let's go
on to this because you're telling me I'm always blaming the other.
No, Nick, for real. Here's the thing, is that the way that you talk and throw out these historical facts, which by the way aren't fucking facts. Okay?
Which ones aren't facts?
Well, as it relates to the Civil Rights Movement in 1968, and the reason why we're out in the problem that we're in is because the Civil Rights Act passed in 1964. Dr. Martin Luther King was killed and shot by a white racist, white supremacist in 1968 on a balcony of a motel. That's the root of our trouble, because an entire people that have been disenfranchised and enslaved for over 400 years.
We're sick of hearing about that, though. It's 2026.
You may be sick of hearing about it, but you know what? They aren't. And I'll tell you what, Nick,
Get
here's the
over
other
it.
thing.
Get over it. It's America.
Okay, but Nick,
well, get over Charlie Kirk then. It's America. Man, that's so crazy. Like how they all right, so our heroes get killed. We got to get over it. But y'all been touting Charlie Kirk this last year, and y'all can't get over it.
You can say stuff like that, okay, without having to say it like that. And
that's not how it started, though.
This is a legitimate argument, but it's Nick.
Guys, Nick, Hunter, what do you guys make of the concept of community collapse? Have you guys heard of this?
No.
So it's got nothing to do with race, it's got nothing to do with money, but this is kind of a crazy stat. So in 2019, before COVID, 76% of Americans said they were a part of an in-person community that gave them some kind of value. After COVID, and this year, it was 19%. So I think that politics and race aside, one of the biggest issues is the collapse of social bonds, third spaces, communities, in-person engagement, which comes with loneliness, more time online, and more division. I understand that. I feel like you guys aren't going to agree. I want to talk about what you guys think can be done on an individual and community level to stop people from hating each other and to create more belonging and engagement.
Well, number one, I think this. Okay, for real.
Podcasting.
No, not podcasting. This discussion. For me to be able to sit down with someone who I so vehemently disagree with and find some kind of common ground.
But I mean, guy at home who's watching this on his phone just thinking, I wish I could go outside, but I don't know anyone.
Okay, well, here's what I'm talking about. It's all about connection. It is all about actually connecting with people. And I'm not talking about digitally connecting with people anonymously online. I'm talking about actually going out and connecting with people. And I don't have an answer to that. I don't, any of us. We are look, man, I just think that you are targeting the wrong problem, Nick. I think that our biggest problem right now doesn't have to do with this cultural divide or racial divide or religious divide or the idea that America is becoming less white or culturally relevant anymore. I think our biggest problem is literally an oligarchy that is inflaming every single division that we have. And by the way, and they're out for you, man, just as much as anybody else.
Well, and I agree.
So those platforms that we talk about that you're not allowed to be on because Elon's out on the platform. Elon doesn't give a shit about anything other than one thing.
But Hunter, I just want to say real quick.
Money and his money.
I don't necessarily even agree with that.
Okay, well, you may not agree with that because you don't want to piss off Elon Musk.
Elon doesn't even like me, but I just disagree.
You're talking about the oligarchy, right? Like these billionaires, right? Like the goal of corporate capture of these industries is community collapse. They are trying to engineer things to make it antisocial. They want to eliminate every single small business. They want to make everyone a single person shopper, no carpooling, like to be a lonely consumer who only buys things for themselves online and doesn't talk to anyone in real life. That's what they want in real life. Like all this data center shit, like everything they're doing is in a way trying to break up in-person engagement. And I feel like for you guys, might be hard to answer because both of you guys are what they call like controversial public figures. Like there's places that you, like in 2018, if you were to go to a dive bar in, let's say, Poplar Bluff, Missouri, you would have been in danger. You know what I mean? At that time, for you were in danger physically in a left-wing city. It's just the truth. So I feel like you guys have been deprived of the ability to have normal lives. You especially, you know, but I mean, you in general.
So it asks, why isn't Hunter Biden in jail? Because he has enough money to like get a good enough lawyer to like to evade whatever that tax situation is. Let's go.
But I feel like, you know, your controversies came a little bit later in life. For you, I feel like you haven't even been able to grow up as a normal person. Is that accurate to say?
Yeah, that's true. Well, and in terms of, you know, building community back and everything like that, you know, the data says that really the loss of society is the fact that we don't encounter people anymore. For example, on your way to work or, you know, in ways that are unexpected. People wake up in their house, which is separate from everybody else. They get in their car by themselves, drive to work by themselves, you know, and then they meet with their colleagues and everything, but then they go home, have a beer, watch Netflix until they go to bed. Next day starts all over again. And so, you know, I think it has a lot to do with maybe how we structure the cities.
That's been happening for years. What are you talking about? That's nothing new, bro. What are you saying?
I think, honestly, a big part of it, there's like this abundance mindset with liberals. Liberals want to have prosperity and everything like that. How
the fuck are you talking? Everybody wants to have prosperity, not just liberals. This guy's ridiculous.
can you have that when the cities are not safe? I think that one of the ways, for example, if you want to have those encounters that are unplanned or spontaneous, they're going to happen maybe on the subway, on the bus, on your way to work. People don't want to ride the subway anymore. People don't want to ride the bus. They don't
I just feel
like
that if
safe.
you look at the data, like right now, 2026, I think 2025 had the lowest homicide rate of any year in America for like the past 4 years. I feel like if you compare data from the 90s, like the cities, I get what you're saying, but the cities I have noticed are a lot safer. They're also, you know, becoming more expensive as well. It could have something to do with it.
You're absolutely right. It's what you're saying, Nick, is impossible to refute, right? Because everybody has an experience with violence or witnessing a crime, or whether it's just in their local newspaper or not. Is that I don't think that is in any way limited to only urban environments. I take the top 10 poorest red states in the country, and their crime rates are 10 times what many urban centers are.
So you'd be comparing like West Virginia, coal country, disenfranchised to like an urban neighborhood.
Yeah, in terms of per capita crime, in terms of per capita murder, in terms of per capita child sexual abuse. Yeah. I think the things that people really care about, you know, things like that, is their own personal safety.
Yeah.
It is not limited to African-American urban or Latino-American urban environments. It's not. It exists. Carjackings do happen, but you know where they happen? They happen in Biloxi, Mississippi, just as much as they happen in Chicago.
I'm skeptical of that.
I mean, I just think the idea of like safety at risk, crime has been, I feel like media has overblown the level of danger.
Everybody's going to fact check both of us on this. And but I agree with you but my point about all of it is that you can always point to a reason, Nick. There's never been a time in which there hasn't been crime in major urban areas where you pack a lot of people in. You're right, though, is that the difference between us feeling like each other were our neighbors and that we can find some common ground is the fact, you know, you can live in existence now and by the time you're 56 years old and never really have to leave your house to make a living, to, you know, you don't go to the community center anymore. And I don't know how to fix that. And I certainly don't know how to fix it in the age of AI.
Right? Because community is like an essential human need, if not the most important thing. So when you are deprived of that, you're more likely to look for a radical solution and be like, everything's broken. We need to try something really out there. So you might embrace something more reactionary on left or right to be like, fuck this, you know, we need something new. And I'm not trying to draw this like male loneliness, like incel pipeline that the media tries to do all the time. But do you see a connection there between like people being lonely and having less friends and subcultural choice taking over community value systems or community engagement and people just like driving to the extreme?
100%. I think social dislocation is probably the number one problem of our times, because you look at the young people and you're right, it is one of those essential human needs, is to connect and have that sense of familiarity, to be seen, to see and to be seen. And that's something young people don't have. And I think, by the way, you look at the way young people socialize and even the mentality, I think a lot of young people have this absolute drive to go to college. Why? It's an extension of high school. And what do high school and college have in common? it's a community. You're in the quad. You can see and be seen. There's sort of like a status, reputation. You're constantly involved with other people. And I think everybody, young people, look at when they graduate from college like falling off a cliff and now life is over. Because now you just have your job, the gym, and going back home, and that's it. And this is why a lot of young people then want to move to the big cities. Got to go to New York, got to go to Chicago or LA where it's happening. And they want to get a condo or an apartment downtown because they want to go to the bar scene and extend college a little bit longer. And I think that's just not really a sustainable way to have a society. There has to be a way for people to still have that sense of community outside of, let's say, college and high school, even into their adulthood and then into their old age. So, yeah, I mean, that's one of the biggest problems going on. And I agree. I think it drives, even to your point about the whites only community in Arkansas, I think it is driving these, let's call it ghettoization or insulation of people going into these artificial values-based communities.
Yeah.
Because where are you going to find people? Go online, start spouting about politics, or, even not just for incels and right wingers, but even on the left. Someone like Tyler Robinson, he's on Discord. He's on Discord with all of the Overwatch players and all the LGBTQ or whatever. And I think that, there's a tendency there where everybody kind of amplifies some of the resentment or feelings there. So I agree. That's a huge driver.
So for you, like back in high school when you were like first kind of starting to use the internet and all that, did you build most of your community in person outside Chicago, or was it mostly online?
When I was in high school or college?
High school.
High school, I had real friends in Model UN. That was my favorite thing. So that was.
But you were still creating like some kind of content at that time.
Not in high school. No.
Okay. So you went to BU.
Yes.
Were most of your friends like classmates there? Like when did you start to kind of build your online persona and community around your content?
It wasn't until I left college. So to that point, I had friends in college. And then when I left college and started my show independently, then it was all people online. And everybody I knew was people from my community for the most part.
But your cancellation from mainstream platforms was effectively the same thing as like a community collapse for your personal life, right?
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't even say it was just the cancellation, but even more just returning home from college.
What do you think would have happened to you, like career-wise and personal life-wise, if you never would have been mainstreamed? I mean, I guess removed from major social media platforms.
Oh, it'd be a lot easier to make friends. Let's say, because, being banned on Instagram, you might as well be dead. In Generation Z, that's how everybody sees each other, meets each other, talks to each other. So I think I probably have a wider, livelier circle.
Do you feel like you had less friends after that?
No, I'd say it's about the same.
No, but I mean, you said that you feel like it would have been easier to make friends.
It would have been easy to make more friends. Yeah, sure.
So aside from your career, how was your personal and social life affected in those following years?
Well, it's brutal, I mean, because everybody that I knew from high school is on Instagram, on Facebook, and I'm just not on there. It's almost like you're removed from the earth. For Generation Z, I understand for older people, for different generation, people still meet up or stay in touch in other ways. But if you're not online as a young person, you might as well be dead.
Do you think you would have said some of the more extreme things that you did say if you, I guess, were allowed to remain on the mainstream internet?
Absolutely, yeah.
Looking back, and I'm not trying to get you to take something back necessarily. What's one thing that you said when you were younger where you're like, fuck, I wish I could take that back?
I don't know if I regret what I've said. It's just how you say it.
Yeah, can you think of an example of when you listen back to something, you're like, geez, I wish I could.
Yeah. So I did this rally in 2023 called Fuentes Rally 2. And the one comment I said, we're talking about a spiritual battle between Christians and everybody else. And I said, we're in a holy war. I said, and we're going to make them die in a holy war. And the second I said that, I was like, didn't mean to say that. It's an extemporaneous speech. So you don't rehearse it. You just say things. And I was like, didn't mean that. Shouldn't have said that. So it's always the how. It's always in the delivery that I...
Nick, I can think of about 4 things that I really wish you would take back right now.
Like what?
The cookies in the oven.
Well, it's a joke.
But it's not, Nick. My wife is Jewish. My son is Jewish. No, Nick. I promise you. Don't get mad.
I'm not mad.
Okay,
it's
I know. But okay. But you got to understand how incredibly, whether it's a joke or not, it's a lived experience passed down from generation to generation, whether or not and by the way, not just from the Holocaust, not just from 1939 on, 2,000 years.
It's crazy how much he looks like his father. Like when he raises his eyebrows, doesn't Hunter Biden got his father's eyebrow like his face? I think he's gonna run. I think he's gonna run for some kind of office because he looking like his dad.
Years of history. Okay. Forget about Israeli politics and Netanyahu, because I think we agree about Bibi Netanyahu. I'm positive we do. And I've listened to you talk about it. But you got to understand. Look at me, man.
I see.
It hurts. It hurt.
Does it?
Nick, I promise you it does. When you compare my wife's family to cookies going to an oven, it hurts. And you've got to understand that. And by the way, I'm looking at you.
Yeah.
And I believe that you do know that.
See, that's where you
Nick,
lose me. That's where you lose me.
Okay, Nick. Okay, I'm telling you.
Well, listen, are we here to talk or are you here to lecture me and preach
Okay, no,
to
you're
me?
right. Let me listen.
Okay.
So you're right.
So
You're right.
this is the
Okay.
thing, because, you know, and I think this is a disconnect. I think that the left and even people on the right, they're losing the young people. Why do people love me? Not in spite of, but because of the outrageous things that I say. Not in spite of, but because I say offensive things. Because I, let's say, drop the N-word on a video or something. It's because people are sick of the preachiness, the
Nick.
lecturing.
Okay, I'll listen
They
to what
really
you
are.
say. But Nick, I see. I disagree.
But how many people actually like you, Nick Fuentes? I think that your ego might be inflated by the numbers that you get online, but there's way more people on earth than just the people that watch you. Everyone doesn't like you, sir. That number's inflated. It could even be fake. Like it could be bots, you know. But you're seeing a number and you think that these people like you and they're just watching, you know. Oculus, are you still there? Did you want to say anything?
Yeah, I'm still here. I just got to run. I'm still on the run.
Okay, let's go.
I think that you're appealing to the lowest common denominator of thought. If you're hating on the people that they think are the reason for their suffering, then you must be on their side. I don't think that you believe that about the Holocaust. I think you think the Holocaust did happen. But forget about whether or not you think that it is used politically in a way that is obtuse and wrong. But I think that you do believe that. And I think that you have to. Like, what's your cultural heritage?
I'm Italian, Mexican, and Irish.
Mexican. When did they come in Italian? When did the Mexicans come? When did the Irish come?
Mexicans came turn of the last century.
Yeah.
Italians came in the 1860s.
Yeah.
Irish came in the early 1900s.
Okay. So maybe you wouldn't care about something that is like grossly offensive just on the face of it and think that, oh, why can't people just believe that that's funny? But you got to understand it's from a perspective of somebody that has that trauma.
Child, immigrant. That's what I heard. Immigrant, Mexican, immigrant, Italian, immigrant, Scottish or Irish, whatever he said. And then on top of that, okay, you're Mexican. Okay, unless you're a Spaniard, you got like Taino, that's like Native American. You got like a little bit of a Irish, Italian, that got like a little bit of black in it. You know what I'm saying? He tries to be such of a white supremacist, but he's far from white, bro. You don't even know it. Italians aren't 100% white.
And I think that there is such a thing as generational trauma, and those stories are passed down generation to generation. When you say something like that, they completely shut off. They can't hear another thing that you're saying about this cultural disconnect, about losing communities, about the feeling of being left out or left behind in a world in which there no longer is this sense of community. All the other things that you say, everybody else is left, and what you do pick up. You pick up the ones that hear the dog whistle. You pick up the ones that say, yeah, that's the way that I feel, because it's radical. It's like he's willing to say the thing that nobody else will say in this environment. And then you get, an enormous amount of niche, but love from that. And I just don't believe that you believe that. I don't believe that you think that it was appropriate for you to say something like that. I don't think you believe that it's appropriate to say women shouldn't vote.
Thank you, Roderick, and I hope to listen. Why don't you come up and talk and give some commentary too? It don't have to be just me with my commentary. I did put the link in the chat. Please come up if you have something to say, because this is not a wind tunnel of just me just giving my opinion. If you have an opinion too, come on up and speak it. Let's go.
Oh,
let's give Nick a second to respond to the first thing.
I know I talk constantly. That's how I do this.
It's all good. It's all good.
I apologize.
I get it, and I understand that perspective, and it is offensive and it is provocative, and that's sort of what makes it funny. I mean, what we would say in our generation is edgelording. We're being edgy. We're being provocative, and I think that it is that kind of overbearing sense for our entire.
Nick, I'm the king of edgelord.
Well, in a certain way.
Let's let Nick explain.
I know
the psychology.
It's that overbearingness that my generation's had our entire lives. That's not appropriate. That's not funny. Think of the trauma. That's racist. That's white supremacist. That makes it funny. That makes it different, interesting. And let me grant, by the way, I think that now, and this is maybe a concession towards you, now that my kind of humor has become...
Bro, how can a person that's Mexican, Italian, and Scottish be white supremacist? I mean, maybe the Scottish part, but like Mexican and Italian? So Italians are really a mixture of like a homogenization of North African and I guess like some European, you know. And then Mexicans are like Spaniard and like Taino. So you're not even like 100% white. You're not like Caucasus Mountains 100% white bread. Honey, if you were to go to Hitler, honey, Hitler would kill you, sir. Because he'd be like, man, you're not pure. You'd be in the very gas chamber that he was putting everybody in that you were talking about making cookies with. Honey, you be the cookie, sir. I don't know where he is delusional, bro.
Mainstream and popular, I don't even think that that's funny anymore. People do the edgelording thing. It's become so commonplace and so tired. I don't think it's that funny or impressive. That's a big part of why I kind of moved past it, because 10 years ago, it was treated like sacrilegious. And there's something funny about the fact that you could say a word or make a joke and make people lose their minds and freak out. And it was like an international...
He would be considered an abomination. He's bigging up Hitler, honey. You'd be dead. You would not have made it during Hitler's situation. You wouldn't have made it. What is going on? what is he talking about? He is delusional. Like, what are you like? I don't know, because he has like some curly. I don't even know. His hair doesn't even look like somebody like a white. He got like that like weird trying to like do the Donald Trump. He might be losing his hair in the front. That's why he's always combing it forward.
You could say a word or make a joke and make people lose their minds and freak out. And it was like an international incident if you said the wrong thing. And I think that's what made it tempting, especially for a young person. You want to rebel. You want to be defiant. You want to be a little revolutionary or something. Now, as time has gone on, I think that's become a fad. Everybody does it. It's lost its power. And I think that, by the way, part of why we're getting less of it is because instead of getting the preachy lecture from the left saying that's not appropriate, people just roll their eyes. Now, when an edgy white person says the N-word, people roll their eyes and go, really? You know, that joke again? People hear someone wears a Nazi costume, makes a Holocaust joke. People go, really? That joke again? It's not impressive. It's not funny anymore. We've seen it before. And ironically, that is what makes you get less of it, when you disempower those things by not giving them this over-the-top reaction, pretending.
So now he's trying to say that he overdid the Nazi trope to disempower it. If you don't get the F up out of here, man, come on now, bro.
Like it's some great travesty.
So you think the new counterculture is going to be woke again?
No, I think it's a synthesis.
A synthesis of post-edgelordism and wokeism?
Yes, because I think that wokeism had its excesses.
Yeah.
Edgelording also has its excesses. And I think now we're finding a middle ground between saying the edgiest thing we can think of with no regard for anyone and saying everything is racist. You know, if you say something, you should lose your job. We're finding a middle ground where, you know, maybe it's tastefully offensive in small doses, less is more.
So it sounds like you believe in the survival of the American experiment.
Yeah, I really do. And listen, I don't think everything about wokeism was bad necessarily.
What's the best thing about wokeism?
I think that genuinely.
Bro, why did you make me start looking at his fingers? Now I'm like hyper focused on his fingers, bro. Poet, why you got me looking at his fingers? Now I can't even take my eyes off his fingers. He do got some weird ass fingers, but why you got me looking at his fingers, bro?
It has made people more respectful and empathetic, because let's be honest, 20 years ago, let's say when I was growing up, I think there was a lot of cruelty, and I think there were some hateful attitudes. And I think as time has gone on, this younger generation, they may not be even left-wing, they may not be what you'd consider woke, but I think they are respectful of people that have different ideas or, you know, different way of life or from a different culture. You know, we make jokes all the time about the fact that I'm like a far-right guy and I'm Mexican. People say I'm a white supremacist, I'm Mexican. And people make a joke that a lot of far-right people are Hispanic. And I think that's a consequence that there's very little genuine racial hatred in anybody's DNA anymore, or any kind of hatred. And I think that's positive, but that went too far. I think some of the other
know,
stuff
his
went too
thumb
far as
is
well.
kind of
You know,
wild.
one of these strange things.
He's like double jointed or something like that. That thumb is looking kind of crazy. Though. Let me go past this because I think he was there's a promotional whatever. But his thumb is bent like all the way back, kind of weird looking. What the hell? Well, but y'all, why y'all gotta be looking at his thumb real heavy with that? Y'all crazy.
So,
Did you grow up like around a lot of Mexicans?
no, all white people for the most part.
Did they know you were
Yeah,
Mexican?
my thumb
They
can't
did.
do that.
And
My thumb
I'm
don't
not gonna
bend that.
lie. I mean,
Yeah, his
people
thumb is
made
wild.
fun of me
What
for
the
that.
hell?
What'd they
He's
say?
He's
Well,
double
like for
jointed.
example, one time when I was in Model UN, I was entering high school as a freshman. They looked at my name on the roster without knowing me, and they told me this
No,
after the
not the incest gene. That's that incest gene. Someone said reptilian. Look at his thumbs, yo. His thumb is kind of wild. Like he couldn't give a thumbs up. He got to give a thumbs back. His thumb, like he puts it up, it goes to the left. It goes all the way, you know.
fact, the leadership of the club, they said, "Oh, we thought you were just some Mexican."
Man, look, that thumb is wild. Look at that thumb, though. Oh my God! No, I can't stop looking at it. Oh man, y'all need to stop it. I wasn't even looking at his thumb, bro. Oh my God, his thumb is crazy. The incest gene. You guys are killing me. Something's up with his thumb, bro. He probably get like, man, what can you do with that thumb, Binta? My thumb don't go like that. My thumb just goes straight up. His thumb goes back. He be like thumbs up and to the left. That's crazy.
Kid, so we gave you a bad committee assignment.
Wow.
That's a
I heard that and I laughed. I said, that's funny. You know, whereas a lot of people would say, oh, that's traumatic. I'm a victim of racism. You know, I think that's, you know, it's just a human thing.
Yeah. I always felt like growing up as like a white kid in America.
What if you went, what if you were and identified as being Mexican and they
y'all messed up. Listen, I was not trying to pay attention to his thumb. Now I'm like being like, man, every time he puts his hands in, because he do all this with his hands, his damn thumb is like, man, bro, what's up with your thumb, bro? Man, he maybe he broke them both or something. Maybe he did a back handspring.
came to you and they didn't tell you that's the reason that they gave you all the bad committee assignments.
That would be unfair.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I'm just saying.
That's the whole point, isn't it?
And
so
you
may find it funny because you pass as a white Anglo Christian.
Do you think I pass?
What?
You think I pass as a white Anglo Christian?
Well, I not only think you pass, I think you identify as it. Yeah. Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah.
He's so happy to find he passes white because he know he not white.
No, but really, for real. And my point is that I heard you do an interview. Okay, and I literally on the write up here, I was like, you were talking about how you were raised on like Mark Levin in high school,
right?
And the thing that you liked the most about Mark Levin is how cruel he was to the callers.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get that. I like the joke about the cookies. It may be a joke and it may be edgelording and you may not really mean it, but you got to realize the cruelty to it. And without going like, oh, like, you know, wham, like, you know, people got to stop crying about the past. And that's the thing is that I think that you have such an opportunity to talk to a generation of disaffected, angry, legitimately angry people in a way in which is positive without having to do that shit. And by the way, and I'm not holding you responsible for like, you know, the end of you know, my conception of Western civilization, which is different than yours, but I just don't get it. I don't get why you find the cruelty. And I think that, by the way, I think that that's why you like Trump. I mean, I'm making, you know, like a very unfair leap because his first instinct is cruelty. His first instinct is to find the fault in the other. About everything, by the way. It's not his fault that that we're in a war with Iran that he's ended 38 times and, you know, and started 39. It's not his fault that inflation's high. It's not his fault that the wall didn't get built. It's not his fault that ICE is killing people on the streets in these places. It's the cruelty of it. Maybe it's a generational thing. I got friends who are Jewish that are going to be really, really fucking pissed off that I'm sitting next to you. And what do I tell them? What do I tell them why it's okay for me to sit and have this conversation with you?
I guess I just have such a different opinion of that. You know, why should we have to explain ourselves to talk to anybody? And why is it that saying the wrong words or making a particular joke makes it so the Jewish person wouldn't want to watch my show? I have a lot of Jewish fans. I mean, some of my best friends are Jewish. I've had Jewish employees, and they recognize that, you know, just because I'm not necessarily nice all the time doesn't mean I'm hateful, doesn't mean, I don't even think they see it as cruel. I think they see it as it's a little rough around the edges. And maybe that's the difference, is I guess it's just attributing this weight to something that be considered a joke and maybe doesn't have a cruel intention behind it. Like, you know, Mark Levin, you got to remember, at the end of the day, it's an entertainment show. It's entertainment. People call in. He gets frustrated with them. It's part of what I do on my show. And it's not always nice, but it's funny. And I don't think it's mean-spirited necessarily. And I don't think it's that big of a deal. So, I mean, the thought that I would, like, for example, with you, people would say, why do you talk to Hunter Biden? His father and his DOJ froze your money and put you on a no-fly list. I'd say, so what? I mean, it's just talking. I don't think talking's a big deal, you know?
Froze my money and put me on a no-fly list, too.
There you go. See, so we got...
See? Nick Fuentes trying to, like, you know what I'm saying, be the victim, and honey, his own son got froze, bro.
So a different question that I have that kind of weaves everything together. How do you think, like, October 7th and the subsequent, like, pro-Palestine movement and the online worlds it created led to a growing audience on the right?
October 7th in particular?
Yeah.
Well, I think it highlighted and brought to the forefront how...
Them chairs are small as hell. They're very uncomfortable in these chairs. Have you seen how they keep shifting around these little crazy chairs? I need to, like, get me I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna start doing live podcasts, because if all it takes, because it's a bed. I'm not sure if you guys realize this, but there's a whole bed in the background. It's a bed, a dresser, and what is
captured the right wing is by Israel, which is very unique. I think the Democrats and the Republicans are pro-Israel, but the Republican Party has this inextricable institutional connection with the Israel lobby, with this Likud government in particular. And I think people just started to see the hypocrisies. The hypocrisy was brought to the forefront, which is America first, but not with Israel. No new wars except for with Iran.
Under Trump, we will have no more wars. No more wars. No more wars. They said he will start a war. I'm not going to start a war. I'm going to stop wars. Tonight, Iran's Navy is gone.
You know, we're going to be racist and all these things, but don't you dare be anti-Semitic. Don't even, think about it.
I see good things about Hitler also. Every human being has something of value that they brought to the table, especially Hitler.
So I think that on the right wing, it made it unignorable that there's this ideological institutional capture.
I just feel like a lot of straightforward, like, just anti-Semite influencers were taking advantage of the post-October 7th discourse to push other ideas, broader ideas about Jewish people as a whole.
Come out and say it. Like, I think that Jews are causing a disproportionate amount of problems in the United States.
Well, I mean, I think it's hard to ignore some of the...
Honey, it's not only just a hotel, it is a cheap hotel, because, like, look at the bed, or I don't know, maybe it's a bigger one, maybe it's a nice maybe it's an Airbnb, I don't know, but it looks like really crazy with that bed. Why did they choose this room with the bed in the background? That is the most weirdest setup I've ever seen in my life.
Those other conversations. I know that it's vogue to say that the Israel issue is very narrow. It's just Netanyahu. It's just the Likudniks. It's just the Israel lobby. But, what would you say about someone like Larry Ellison? I mean, somebody like that, I don't think fits neatly into this, let's say, problem of Netanyahu.
As far as installing Barry Weiss and whatnot.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Because this is somebody who's not Israeli. He's not even a religious Jew, but he's ethnically Jewish and has this deep affinity for the state of Israel.
I feel a deep emotional connection to the state of Israel and the Israeli people.
And is using and mobilizing his power and resources and connections to benefit Israel in the private sector. And so if you were to say, what's a law that we could pass to prevent that kind of influence, what would it look like? He's an American citizen. He can't buy a media company and hire Barry Weiss to run CBS News. And yet we recognize that's a big problem.
I just feel the conflation of, like, anti-Zionism and, like, Holocaust denial played into the hands of the Israeli propaganda.
Nick Fuentes says women are gross. He's 100% gay.
apparatus, because then they can say, hey, look, these people that oppose what we're doing in Palestine also don't think the Holocaust happened. It's a big jump in the public perception.
It was almost to me as if
I'm surprised they didn't call them fish. Fish, get out of here, fish.
that was your intent, to lose any legitimacy about any argument as it relates to Israel and the Likud government, is to say those edgelording things or whatever.
Jews are money changers, bullshit artists, psychopaths, charlatans, grifters, manipulators.
I don't know anybody that can hear you after you say that, including myself. It delegitimizes everything, because I don't think that you, a little bit of more compassion.
Let's try to stay a little, I don't want to do any character attacks on Nick.
I'm not attacking his character. I'm not attacking him.
Child, stop being a Captain Save a Ho, whoever this other co-host is. Every time, man, he needs to shut up. Man, he is a Captain.
When I promise you, I'm
no,
not.
but as far as compassion, I'm more just mean straightforward. Do you feel like the rise in anti-Semitic online influencers post October 7th has given Israel more ammunition to work with in terms of casting everyone who opposes what they're doing as just like a rabid Jew hater?
In some cases, yeah, in some cases, sure. But I also think that's overstated, because I think that, look, let's just be honest. I do believe the political left wants to make the Israel issue very narrow. And they want to say that the issue is this genocide in Palestine. And on some level, they think that the Israeli government is racist.
You f***ing baying pig. You f***ing bloodthirsty, violent pig dog.
And that's the problem. And I think that ignores that there is a broader conversation, and it does have to do with the Holocaust, and it does have to do with Jews as such, and Jewish nationalism and Jewish identity. So to try to shoehorn it in and say, well, if anybody goes further than this very narrow critique of Israel, well, they're actually helping Israel. I don't agree with that. I think we have to unpack the whole conversation.
Well, do you care a lot about Palestinians?
Not more than I care about anybody else.
So I guess that would be why that they would be like, okay, you're just taking advantage of this discourse.
I don't think it's taking advantage. I think that we can sympathize with the Palestinians while also realizing that, look, I'm an American. And so it's a tragedy what's happening in Palestine, but there's tragedies happening all over the world. My problem is that Israel has this influence over our government.
I'm a newcomer to politics, but not to backing the Jewish state.
And we're paying for the genocide, and we're furnishing them with the weapons to commit the genocide. And by the way, America is going to be held liable for this genocide, morally, but also politically and diplomatically and otherwise. But I think that people on the left, they may be guilty of maybe caring more about Palestine than they do about America.
Nick, but the left didn't cancel you. The right canceled you first. The right canceled you first, and Ben Shapiro and the Daily Wire, and those were the people that canceled. They may have utilized the tools of the left, or what you call the left, to be able to do that, but it was the right that canceled you. And by the way, what I would consider a radical right. The Daily Wire, to me, is a radical right.
I don't think they're even reactionary. I don't think they're that conservative at all. Ben Shapiro, I mean, he's not like he's in favor of mass migration.
In 2016, they were alt-right.
No, they were not.
Ben Shapiro and the Daily Wire they were to the right of Mitt Romney.
Yes.
You know what I mean? That's what I mean. And that's
they
what
weren't
I'm
Mormon
saying.
conservatives.
Yeah. My point was, that's who you were canceled by.
I was also canceled by the left.
No, I know. They came along. They came along because some of the more egregious things that you said is edgelording. They came along. And whether you call it canceling or saying, like, what the fuck? This is what I call it. What the fuck? like what the fuck? And so, like, I don't find it funny. And just like you're able to say, well, I just think it's funny, I'm able to say, I don't find it fucking funny. I didn't find it funny then. I don't find it funny now. I didn't find it funny that some of the things that, you said about me. But I'm willing to sit here and listen to you, because I want to get to this. And this is my whole point. What about fucking Donald Trump?
Yeah, we can get to that. Yeah.
How did you get, of all the people in the world, but you could look at and say he doesn't believe anything.
So for context for the viewer, Donald Trump is currently the sitting president of the U.S. For our audience abroad. The war with Iran was supposed to be over. Now we're back in business, baby. Khomeini had a pretty sick funeral, if you saw the video. So you guys don't like Trump? You used to like him.
I did.
You've always hated him. He's tried to destroy your life.
Yeah.
You guys were cool. You guys hung out once at Mar-a-Lago with Kanye. You've never hung out with Trump, right? Would you want to?
No. Do I want to? Yeah. I did.
Okay.
Look, man, I would. Can we get him? Can we get him in the motel room?
So I want you to imagine.
Let's get him in
I want you to imagine he's in the motel with us.
Yeah.
That's Trump. What do you want to? How about what do you want to ask him?
Oh, putting me on the spot. I don't want to ask Donald Trump anything because I know, and I think you would agree with me, is that Donald Trump isn't going to give me an authentic answer. Donald Trump never gives an authentic answer. He gives what people refer to as being authentic, but it's not authentic. It's audacious. It's like the example that I give that is the best metaphor for this is that he says he's 6'3", weighs 225 pounds. And everybody laughs because that's a little bit like edgelording, right? Everybody knows that he is maybe 6 feet and weighs maybe 300. And 285?
He's a big guy. He's a pretty big guy.
Yeah, big guy. But by virtue of every picture ever taken of anyone that's 6'3", he's not 6'3".
I am.
Okay? Yeah, I know you are.
Thank you.
You're 6'2.5", maybe. That's maybe. But my point is that the reason I don't have a question for him is because I'm absolutely certain that he is not going to give me an authentic answer. Look, he came into the Oval Office and the transition this time. And he told my dad that he thought that he did an amazing job. He did an amazing job with the economy. He did an amazing job that with NATO, he did an amazing job and that he got a raw deal from his side and anything he could do, particularly for Hunter. Hunter got screwed. Whatever I could do, you let me know. Bullshit. He then went out and he has now since then done nothing but blame Joe Biden for every single one of his problems.
11 months ago, I inherited a mess. Joe Biden handed us over a country that was in very serious trouble. Biden gave us a horrible economy. And I really mean this. I think the good parts are the Trump economy and the bad parts are the Biden economy.
He mentioned my dad's name or my family's name 6 times a day in the first 100 days of this administration. 6 times a day. He does it maybe 4 times a day now because he has no answers. All he has is a finger to point. And that's all he does. My point is, I don't know what to ask him. You know, why are you such a dick?
What does your dad think about the war?
Right? What I don't, I'm not going to get into what my dad thinks about the war. Is it really because I don't want like.
Why is he such a dick?
I don't want to get into, I don't put words in my dad's mouth, just like I wouldn't ask you what your dad thinks about the war, but your dad wasn't the president of the United States, which is a little bit different.
I don't even know if you know what's going on. I'm Eagles fan.
Look, all I can say is this, is that every single Israeli prime minister since at least Jimmy Carter was president, has walked into the Oval Office or picked up the phone and called the president and said, we have to attack Iran. And every single one of them has said no. And they may not all have had the same exact reason, but one of the reasons they did is because they knew what the consequences would be as it relates to the lifeblood of the economy, is petroleum in the Straits of Hormuz. Every single one of them knew that. And every single one of them knew that there is no way, unless you send in ground forces, to end with certainty the nuclear program.
You know what's crazy? 6 times a day for the first 100 days. Has this been proven? Check this out. NBC News says, and the survey says, media analysts from earlier in Trump's term, such as reports tracking his first 50 to 100 days, noted an average rate of roughly 6 mentions per day. Trump continues to routinely reference Biden in public speeches, social media posts, and appearances such as his remarks at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, though an aggregate tally for the current calendar year is not officially compiled. So yeah, six times a day. So 6 times 100 is like 600 times. That's crazy. 600 times. So yeah, Hunter Biden is like correct when he says that. So 600 times in the first 100 days, it was his
that the Iranians have supposedly been building. Every single one of them knew that the existing Ayatollah at that time had put out a fatwa, an edict saying that they would never turn their nuclear technology into a bomb.
The supreme leader of Iran issued fatwa. Having nuclear weapons is forbidden, it's haram, which means never we can have nuclear weapons.
It was a religious edict as strong as if the Pope had released an encyclical. But what did he do? He kills the Ayatollah. We get a son that now has a far more radical and far greater ties to the IRGC. And what do we have? The Straits of Hormuz are still closed. He said that they're brilliant people. I find that that's Donald Trump on everything. He said he'd end the war in Ukraine on day one.
That is a war that's dying to be settled. I will get it settled before I even become president.
And I didn't hear anybody on the right and say, that's just bullshit. It's just bullshit. He said that he would build a wall. I don't believe in building a wall, but everybody said that's bullshit. And then when he got into office, the corruption, the level of the corruption, I mean, people believed or led to believe that there was this thing called the Biden crime family, right? I know that is that I didn't do a single piece of business when my dad was president. I made basically $200,000 a year selling paintings. I picked the thing that was the furthest possible thing away from politics that I possibly could. Don and Eric have done over $1.3 billion in contracts, just in contracts for underlying companies that they have an ownership stake in with the Department of Defense. Don Jr. got the largest loan ever given by the Department of Defense of a company that he bought into like 3 months before they got the loan, because Peter Navarro picked up the phone and called DOD to get it done. My point is, I don't have anything productive to say to him that I know of. And when I listen to you and I listen to what you do, my question is how did you not see that before? He was a disaster in 2020. A complete and utter disaster as it related to what he did with COVID, regardless of whether you think we were wearing a mask or not.
The question for Nick is, how did you not realize 6 years ago that Trump would be this sort of letdown?
Because he doesn't hold, there's no ideological core to Donald Trump.
No, I agree with you. Well, you got to realize in 2016 where Republicans were at. We had John McCain, we had Mitt Romney, and the perception on the right is that they were insufficiently conservative and that they were losers. All they do is lose because they don't fight. There was this perception that the Democrats are ruthless fighters. Obama crushed in 2008, crushed when we thought he really should have lost in 2012. That was a Republican perception that Romney let us down. And so when Trump came on the scene in 2016, it was new, it was refreshing. He seemed like somebody that was really going to take on not just the Democrats, but also the media on our behalf. And what's more, you got to think about the mood of the moment in 16 as well, and the message Trump was giving. Trump said in 16,
was he even voting in 16? Wasn't like he 18 or 17 years old in 2016? This guy is acting like he is authority, child.
It's just me and my son and my wife. We don't have any donors. We don't have any special interests.
More than $100 million put in of my money, meaning I'm not taking all of this big money from all of these different corporations like she's doing.
We're going to put America first, make the country great again. This is a very appealing message. And I talk all the time on my show about it, and realizing now that it was obviously a scam and now obviously unfulfilled completely. And you're right, Trump is non-ideological. The message was brilliant because it said, one, the system is broken. America's not great anymore, but it used to be. We can make it great again, but in order to do it, we need to actually bypass the system. Why is it that we never have victories? Why is it that things don't change? Because of money. He said, and that's why I'm different. I'm rich. I'm a billionaire. If I self-fund my campaign and don't take super PAC money, then I won't have to listen to the lobbyists and the special interests. I could fire the people I need to fire, do the things I need to do. That was like a very powerful message in 2016. And after 4 years, I was one of the people even back then that said, look, it never materialized. He did wind up taking super PAC money. He took AIPAC money for that matter, Sheldon Adelson money at that time in 16. Even in the first term, bombed Iran. In the first term, didn't build the wall. In the first term, didn't even reduce illegal immigration until 2019. And I remember the timeline perfectly because I covered it every day. It was like in May and June 2019, 20-year illegal immigration high in terms of month over month. But why did I go for him in 2020? At the height of the pandemic, we all thought on the right that if anyone other than Trump was president, you were going to get a vaccine mandate, which we really didn't want to be forced to take the vaccine. We thought the lockdown might never end. We thought that censorship would kick into overdrive. And so we said, really, it's unacceptable that anyone other than Trump would just be a disaster. And then obviously Biden came in, and I don't think it was as bad as we thought it would be, to tell you the truth, honestly. But by 2024, I mean, I was out in 2024 because everything you're saying is totally true. And I was telling people on my side, I was saying he's not going to build the wall. And I know you're against that. He's not going to do the mass deportations, promising that. He's not going to start no new wars. I said in 24, he's going to take us to war in Iran. And the Ukraine war, I said, that's not going to end in one day. too complicated. We're already in it. And so I didn't vote. I didn't vote in 2024. And I told my followers not to vote for Trump for that reason. And it was.
Let me just like share this with. How old was Nick Fuentes in 2016 when Trump first ran? Honey, he was 17 to 18 years old. He tried to pretend like he just was child. He wasn't even voting like that, man. Cut it out, bro.
Only until a year later, after all the exuberance died down and people saw the bearing of the Epstein files, the war in Iran, people said, you know what? You were right. You were right about Trump. Even Alex Jones told me you were right about Trump. I was all in on him. So, I mean, as far as him being vaporware is concerned and a scammer and fundamentally, you're 100% right. No ideological core. He's not an ideological guy. Yeah, it is.
He's literally all about him.
And I agree. He's a cruel narcissist.
Yeah.
And you said, I like the cruelty. I do not like the cruelty.
No, by the way, no. I didn't say you like the cruelty. I said I'm listening to your thing, and you said one of the things that you liked about Levin was the cruelty. And not for the cruelty's sake, it didn't seem to me like this, is because it was raw. It was, yeah. And that's so I'm not saying that.
No, but I agree. I think he is cruel. And even what he said on Easter, I mean, we're Catholic. On Easter Sunday, he says we're going to annihilate Iran. And then he made fun of Allah on Easter Sunday. So, you know, that kind of stuff, it just totally turned me off entirely.
I don't think he's MAGA no more, guys. Put a 1 in the chat if you think that Nick Fuentes is still MAGA. I don't think he's MAGA no more. But I don't know what he is now, but I don't think he's MAGA.
Is there anything that you think Trump can do to like regain the support of the, I guess, Gen Z and millennial right?
No, it's over. People see what he's made of. And Hunter's right. He's a liar. He is a liar. He is a bullshit artist. And especially, you look at what he did with the Epstein files, with the war in Iran, what he did to Thomas Massie.
This guy named Thomas Massie. There's something wrong with him. They just vote no. They love voting no. They think it's good politically.
You realize that if you are America first, you have no place in this Republican Party. Because he said it. He said our Republican Party, or rather, he said MAGA is Mark Levin, Laura Loomer, Randy Fine. He said, and who is not MAGA? Megyn Kelly, Tucker, Alex Jones, Candace. And I think most Republicans said, well, we're with those other people. We're not MAGA anymore. So
what do you think happens, Nick? I believe that we need radical change. And I'm not talking about violence or revolution or things like that. I'm talking about the only ways that you can have this kind of radical rethinking of the system. Like there's so many questions. Like, what do you think about the Epstein files? What do you think about the accountability? Or do you think that he's broken the system to the degree that we now are basically in a dictatorship light?
No, I have a lot of confidence only because I think the Democrats are going to take the House in 26, which I support. I'm telling my people, vote Democrat. We want the Democrats in the House because what they're going to do is they're going to use the oversight powers to bring all the corruption to light. Because I know Republicans will watch this, and when you say, you know, we didn't commit crime, they're going to be skeptical. However, for the sake of argument, let's say the income you made during Biden was ill-gotten. For the sake of example, it's just doesn't hold a candle. It doesn't even come close, doesn't even touch Jared Kushner, Howard Lutnick, Steve Witkoff, Don Jr., Trump himself. It's just a different sport. It's a different game entirely. And I want all that corruption to be revealed. And I think the Democrats are going to do it. I hope they get impeached. I don't think they'll be removed from office, but I think it'll basically drag this administration to a halt. And then 28, I think there's an opportunity for a clean reset with.
What is a MAGA insider? What does that mean?
Both sides, right and left.
Hey guys, quick thing before we get back to Hunter and Nick. So these two guys individually have been hammered on all sides. Pull it up in ground news. So the WLT report on the far right, the sister site of WeLoveTrump.com, spent 4 years shitting on my boy Hunter. But today, the headline reads, Hunter scores stunning $1.7 million court victory. Wow, stunning. Now on the left, Raw Story says, Hunter gets last laugh after judge orders MAGA millionaire to fork over nearly $2 million. So on this story, as you can see, left, right, everyone converges. That's the ownership beat right there. WLT Report is a Trump loyal outlet, and even they had to run the wind straight. That's the ownership beat right there. And when you can actually see the ownership inside of ground news, you can really trust exactly what you're reading.
Look, I don't do much news commentary. I do documentaries, but before I sit down with two guys who've been extensively attacked by the press for years, I gotta know where the coverage of them is actually coming from before I ask my questions. And Ground News is exactly how I do it. If you want to be just like me and join the GNC5 family, go to ground.news/channel5 or scan the QR code on screen. You'll get 40% off the Vantage plan, the illest plan on the dopest app in human history. Break out of the algorithm. Ground News. All right, back to Hunter and Nick.
Whenever you talk about Trump, sometimes you explain this like nightmare scenario that revolves around a Vance presidency.
Yes.
What about JD Vance being in power scares you so much?
If Trump doesn't have an ideological core, then Vance really doesn't, because Vance is a chameleon. That's not his real name, for openers. Never had a real job. These are all sinecures given to him by Peter Thiel. 6 years ago, he's a never Trumper.
I'm a never Trump guy. I never liked him.
I think that he's leading people in a very dark direction, and that's ultimately what worries me the most.
Terrible candidate. Idiot if you voted for him. Might be America's Hitler.
I was wrong about Donald Trump. I didn't think he was going to be a good president, Brett. He was a great president.
Now he's a national conservative, national populist. And so we don't even really know who he is. I mean, to me, this is basically a Manchurian candidate. This is a shell. And who is the power behind him? It's the oligarchs. It's the little tech oligarchs in bed with the CIA, especially at this fever pitch with AI. I think that's really dangerous. So to me, him being president is just a worse scenario in my mind.
For the uninformed viewer, what is the Palantir JD Vance connection?
Well, Palantir was founded by Peter Thiel, and Peter Thiel is very close with David Sachs. JD Vance was given his first job in Silicon Valley by Thiel. Thiel hooked him up with it. The CEO of that company said it was a personal favor to Thiel that I hired him. And then Thiel got him all his jobs at these various venture capital firms, including his own, and then funding JD Vance's venture capital firm. Peter Thiel gave $15 million to Vance when he ran for Senate in Ohio in 22. Peter Thiel secured President Trump's endorsement for him in 22, which basically got him the nomination and the seat. So, I mean, as far as anybody's concerned, Vance owes his entire political career to Peter Thiel, who derives his fortune from Palantir.
And now he's a Catholic like you and me.
Well, he's a convert, so,
Beware the convert.
Yeah. So do you think that Trump's unfulfillment of his campaign promises was a result of him being like compromised?
Not this. The real question is, what does Black American media focus on as a unit to gain influence? They're not focused on this. They're focused on, at least social media is relationships and the red pill versus the blue pill and the green pill and the relationships and fucking whatever. But no one is talking about this type of stuff, like Peter Thiel, the Palantir, all these different things that are going to affect us in the future. That's why every once in a while I do all the bullshit stuff, but every once in a while I gotta digress into, okay, y'all, pay attention to what's going on, because he's telling you what's up right here. He broke it down. Shouts out to Nick. That's one thing I will say. He will break it down. So he did break that down real hard like that. Let's go.
Vance owes his entire political career to Peter Thiel, who derives his fortune from Palantir.
And now he's a Catholic like you and me.
Well, he's a convert, so,
Beware the convert.
Yeah. So do you think that Trump's unfulfillment of his campaign promises was a result of him being like compromised by somebody connected to that structure, or do you think he always just never cared?
I don't know that he never cared. I just think that, me, I'm an idealist. So I think about the ideas and the concepts. Trump is a businessman. And so I think with him, everything's transactional. And I said this in 2024. Trump knew the voters would swallow anything. The voters would not walk away from the table because they were enamored with him.
I could stand in the middle of Fifth Avenue and shoot somebody and I wouldn't lose any voters, okay? It's incredible.
So he knew he could break every promise with them in order to fulfill promises for the donor class, which is little tech, the Israel lobby, and Wall Street. The bankers, Tim Mellon, the big asset managers. So I think with him, everything's business, everything's a transaction. And that's why you can't trust him. You have to do business. And in 24, I said, we should all collectively say we're not going to vote unless he makes certain commitments. And not enough people did that. But that's fundamentally his flaw.
Your critique of this elite power structure sounds vaguely anti-capitalist.
It's not anti-capitalist. Capitalism says large amounts of capital will be held in private hands, which I believe in. I am a capitalist. But I think what is happening is,
why do you want Andrew Tate out? Somebody is coming in here and wanting to make it about Andrew Tate. No one gives a shit about Andrew Tate. He's an immigrant anyway, coming into America and doing all kind of pedophilia and S trafficking. So what you are you like a weirdo? You want him out so he can like get you some girls, or you really need some punani? That's what he's selling. You keep like saying this into my chat. Okay, so what's wrong with you? Is that what you need? You need that? I need to like make your picture bigger so we can see who you are and understand why would you want Andrew Tate out. And he then came over to America, brought that S trafficking and exploiting little girls. And he's a rapist too. There you go. Exactly. So what the F are you talking about, bro? Let's go. He want to hear Andrew Tate be free.
That it's the way that money is used in government. There needs to be a distinct and separate national power that subordinates the money power to it. The problem is the billionaires buy all the elections, buy all the media, control public perception. And so really we're all subsidiary then to the market. So I support capitalism, but it just has to be underneath the nation, underneath the state.
It seems like you have a pretty optimistic perspective on the year 2028.
Well, he's going to get a third term. So Trump 28, Trump is going to be president in 28.
Kind of keep coming back to this like clean election year. Do you think that's going to be like a renaissance year for outsider candidates and outside media channels like this one?
It can be. I think it certainly can be, because I think there's frustration on the right and on the left. You know, you see even in the primaries on the Democrat side, it's all DSA progressive types that are winning. You ironically have the same frustration on the left with their establishment as we have on the right. And so I think, you know, in 2028, it's going to be a year where there'll be a competitive Republican primary and Democratic primary. And hopefully the people make their voice heard and we get some new options, you know, maybe that reflect the will of the people more.
Yeah. And so what do you think about somebody like Mamdani?
Personally, I don't like him. I don't like some of the things that he said, like, for example, on 4th of July, when he takes the opportunity to sit there with, let's be honest, not a single white person in the room and says, you know, the founding fathers would look down on us, the working people with their dirt-streaked hands against the billionaires. I think it's a little too divisive. I like his energy. I like that he's young. It's ironic. Yeah, okay, fair enough.
That's rich, buddy. But no, look,
but it seems pointed at me.
I know, but yeah, but the thing,
like he was dissing you in that video.
Yeah, a little bit.
Staring down the camera like, you Nick, you son of a bitch.
People like me.
Yeah. But what I see is somebody is using government for exactly the purpose that you just said, is to break the oligopoly, to target the anger towards a tiny percentage of the population that has controlled the levers of government from the White House down to the mayor's office in New York City or Peoria, Illinois, to that matter, and even more so as you go further down that chain. And so I look at somebody like Mamdani, and regardless of his delivery, which may be off-putting, particularly from somebody coming from your side, is that he's delivering, man. You know what? I mean, he's really delivering. You know, like I saw somebody going after Mamdani for some of this stuff, and particularly about rent control, you know. I was like, well, how do you think the middle class was built after World War II and the GI Bill and rent-controlled buildings that created those communities that we were talking about an hour ago?
The GI Bill provides returning soldiers and veterans a range of benefits, including mortgages to purchase homes, loans to go to school. And this really was instrumental in creating the new American middle class.
Created the availability for somebody that was 26 years old, that had a job with the MTA, to be able to live and work in the city and put the kid in a school with the idea that they would be safe walking there and go to a park that, you know, where the water fountains worked. That's what I see him trying to do. I mean, by the way, it's just so tired and you know, he's a communist. Like, it's about the communists. Like, who even says that anymore? Nobody. Like, you know what? It was 1981, and we're watching Rocky V and worried about the communists. You know what I mean? I just don't. I don't get it. Rocky IV. My whole Philly legitimacy was just blown right there. Yeah. But it's just kind of, and so I look at somebody like Mamdani, I think, well, he's just talking about good government. Like, what do you think about healthcare? Don't you think that there should be a single payer system? Don't you think that there should be some guarantee as a right? Because I don't know how you make it in this country and aspire to a middle class life and be able to afford a catastrophic event as it relates to your health. I mean, it's over. You're done.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't support single payer, but I do believe that everybody should be entitled to some minimum level of coverage, catastrophic insurance. So in principle, I agree.
Which is Medicare for all to a certain degree, right? I mean, because that's all the Medicare does right now. But why is that radical?
See, I don't think that's necessarily radical, but
to them, it's because we've been convinced that it's a radical
them,
idea.
Those others.
Yeah, no, them. I mean, the insurance companies.
Sure.
Yeah. And their lobbyists who control 55% of Congress, regardless of who's in power.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and I don't think that's necessarily the most radical. I think, though, he is with the DSA, the Democratic Socialists of America. He backs all these DSA candidates. And let's be honest, a lot of them are radical. Like, I saw one of these candidates that just won in New York a couple weeks ago, the Chevalier candidate. There's a picture.
She hates my dad.
Yeah, I know.
She said about my dad.
She had awful things about him.
Yeah,
and she says, I didn't have a napkin to wipe my hands, so I used the American flag.
Yeah. Yeah, by the way, I think it's crazy, but like the same way that, I thought a lot of the stuff that some people that got elected in 2016, 2020, even during the Tea Party, kind of movement was, egregious.
If it's a legitimate rape, the female body has ways to try to shut that whole thing down.
So what do we do? What do we do, Nick?
I think a better question is,
for real, what do we do? Can you at least come a little bit to this way?
If you can come a little this way.
I can. Here's where I can come, is this. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yes.
About the Holocaust thing?
Oh, about that.
Yeah. No, I mean, really.
I do. And listen, here's what I'll say. Now that I'm older, I do think that's not the best approach. So I agree with you on that. And I see it as I get older, because let's be honest, saying those things when I'm a younger guy, when I'm, 18, 20, it's like, you got to think that's just the age.
Jews are running society. Women need to shut the fuck up. Blacks need to be imprisoned for the most part.
And a lot of young people think that's funny and everything like that. I think that it also goes with the medium as well. Live streaming, social media, that's just what it rewards. So yeah, I think that people should try to move past some of that.
I'll try. But if you try.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
For real. And as it relates to when you talk about Israel, Netanyahu, Likud government, what's happening now, what's happened for the past 20 years in terms of whether the funding to Israel, whether you think it is. It's really important that you make a distinction between that and Jews. Because here's the thing, okay? Zoran Mamdani has a higher favorability rating in the United States among Jews than Bibi Netanyahu does. I think 65% of American Jews disagree with the approach that the Israeli government has right now. They don't disagree with you, but they completely turn off when they hear the conflation of Jews, Zionism, Israel, and think automatically anti-Semitism, whether it's fair or not, okay? But you have to understand it. And you have to understand it from a cultural perspective in which the recent history is only...
That's Hunter Biden, Joe Biden's son that was on crack and stuff. Yeah, that's the guy.
One data point in 2,000 years of history as it relates to what it means to be a Jew, of which there is what, 1%, 0.5% of the entire world's population? Because I don't know what it adds to your argument, or what it adds to your argument about Miriam Adelson being able to give $300 million to Donald Trump.
The other guy is Nick Fuentes. That's Nick Fuentes.
and commit to giving another $300 million to get her away, and we end up in a war with Iran.
Yeah, well, and I think that's a valid point. I do think, though, that the issue is broader than just Netanyahu.
Oh, maybe, by the way, it obviously Netanyahu has a base within Israel, within the Jewish community here in the United States with Jared Kushner. You know what I mean? Jared Kushner, who is unelected, not a member of our government, is having as more control over the direction of the everyday lives of American people right now than anybody that I know of. And meanwhile, all he's doing is building a $6 billion private equity fund with the people he is negotiating for. And I always say, look who's paying him, and wondering whose interest that he is advancing. He's getting paid by the Saudis, and get paid by the Emiratis, and get paid by the Qataris. He's getting paid. Go down the list. And for some reason, he is in control, along with Steve Witkoff, who is also not elected by anybody, of deciding whether or not the Straits of Hormuz are going to open up, and whether or not our gas prices are going to go down. It may not matter to the three of us necessarily, an extra dollar, 60 cents or 85 cents. But you know what? To 85% of the people that live in America, it means it's the difference between whether or not they're going to be able to pay rent, whether or not you're going to be able to actually put the gas in your car in Montana to drive to your job on the ranch.
Well, and here's what I'll say to you, and this is something kind of why I want to do this interview, is emphasize the message that as far as Jews are concerned in general, I think that it's the same standard that applies to everybody, which is as long as you're patriotic, as long as you believe Americans should be put first by their government, I have no problem at all. And I think that everybody in the country should be treated with dignity and respect and have their civil rights. It's just this acute problem of these people, like you mentioned, like Larry Ellison and Miriam Adelson and Jared Kushner, they're putting some other country before the interest of our own. And that, in principle, is what I have a problem with.
There is going to be some people who watch this and feel like, all right, no take backsies. And they might feel like you're just kind of trying to moderate, and that now that you've achieved your goal and got a lot of support, you're kind of moderating because your main aim has already been achieved, which is to sort of have a generational run and pop off. So now you're trying to kind of make your way more into the mainstream discourse, but you'll just go back again into the same sort of reactionary rhetoric once you're back in a number one spot.
Well, I don't even think I'm moderating. And I even told our mutual friend, it's not even a moderation. It's not even an apology. It's clarifying, because, all along I've been saying this message. It's just that the way that I'm saying it changes and evolves. And I also think how people respond to it changes as well. Because let's be honest, 10 years ago, there was a very different kind of conversation about Israel. You could not mention it in a negative or critical way without being utterly annihilated in politics. We all know that ever since October 7th, that's not the case anymore. So I think that there's sort of something reciprocal happening, which is that people are receiving me differently. And as someone that's growing older and more mature, I'm even representing myself differently. So I wouldn't even call it moderating, just clarifying. People are more receptive, and I'm maybe better able to articulate it.
And you think that's because you've kind of gotten older and been able to have like a longer career in media to reflect on your different changes in your perhaps brain chemistry and lifestyle?
That's a huge thing. I mean, I know it's 27. I have a very different mentality than I did when I was 20.
What's the main difference, you think?
Just more even keeled. And I think too, it's like when you're 20, you're just like a maniac. And then you hit 25 and you're like, all right,
I was a maniac when I was 49. My brain chemistry has definitely changed in the last 7 years too. And I do believe that people can grow and they can change. And I'm not asking you to, and I'm not asking you to say things, but there are certain things that I just hope that you can hear without feeling attacked. That some of the things that you said, whether it's edgelording otherwise, are really hurtful. And then people completely turn off to the idea of being able to listen to you about anything. And then you get dug in more and you're like, go fuck yourself. Like, you can't take a joke kind of thing. And that's not what it is. It's not just wokeism. It's not. It's people being really, really hurt by it. Mm-hmm. And I accept your apology for all of the mean things you said about me.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm on my apology tour. Is that the one thing you did say? You said I was a degenerate crackhead.
Me?
And I have the problem with that. Not you.
Me?
Yeah. And
I also said you were cool, though.
Yeah. No. By the way, you said a degenerate crackhead, and you know what? I'm not even mad about that because I was a degenerate crackhead. I spent more time on my hands and knees, smoking anything that even remotely resembled crack cocaine. It's true.
And now you're sober.
Yeah.
I find it interesting. You also said that you've never drank before.
Right. Yeah. I've never had a drink, never done drugs.
That's because you grew up, with me. You're like, don't be that guy.
I grew up with you too, and I was doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're not as smart as he is. My brother never drank. My dad too. And
I was going to ask you, Nick, what kind of prompted your choice to just like be sober for life and never drink?
Well, a big part of it is I had a lot of addiction in my family. My grandfather was an alcoholic, committed suicide. Uncle died from an overdose from crack cocaine. My mom, 2 of her uncles, heroin addicts for their entire lives. And it just devastated my family, devastated both of my parents. And so I know I have that addictive personality and probably have the genetics for it. And not only that, but I like being rational. I like having my sober mind. I think that's actually
right. So all this stuff he talking about black people and looking about his background and all his family and everybody was on crack and heroin and all this other bullshit. But he want to talk about black people all the time. The black people, the blacks, and then the so violent black people, the black people. But this time he grew up in a white trash situation with people on heroin and crack and everything, bro. What the fuck?
a sacred thing to have unimpaired reason. So the thought of losing control and even being tempted to get into, worse things, I just thought it's just not worth the risk. So it's just never for me.
well, how much, by the way, sorry, do we have time? Yeah. Is it, how much do you think COVID warped not just your generation, but everybody? Because I have this theory that there was this thing that broke for us with COVID, and that nobody's really.
Which guy you don't know who it is? Who don't you know who it is? Hunter Biden. That's Biden, the ex-president Biden's son, and Nick Fuentes is a guy who just starts a bunch of bullshit and talks a bunch of shit. You know what I'm saying? But it's crazy that all this Nazi and the blacks and the black people need the black people. And then, because he was like, the blacks and their violence, white people don't want to live around the blacks. And well, honey, and he said he lived, his mom was an alcoholic, his grandma was on heroin, his uncle was on meth. Like, what the hell? So all this stuff about the blacks, it's like, bro, no, it's like you had more dysfunction in your family than the blacks, sir. That's crazy.
They come to terms with how traumatic that was for everyone.
And especially for the younger generations. I think severely less for the older generations, but for the younger people, missing the graduations, missing critical years in school. That's when the socialization happens. That's when you learn to get along. And so you think about how this generation is going to grow up having 2 to 3 lost years, no sports, no school, no extracurriculars, vacations. It's devastating. And we already had a problem with that isolation, social dislocation, loneliness. I can't even imagine. So it's going to be devastating, I think. But that's a lockdown.
So maybe if you're watching this video after this, put your phone or computer away, go outside, make a friend, just do anything but scroll to the next video.
Hold on.
Back in the day during...
You said that Biden touched his daughter. His daughter or his son's daughter? Man, that's terrible. Whatever's going on, that's terrible. I don't even want that is awful. Oh my God. Not touching the daughter.
Nickelodeon, they had Go Outside Day.
Oh yeah.
I feel like we need like one day a week where it's mandated in a tech oligarch sense that no one can go on their phone or use the computer.
Man, I would love that. I mean, that's one thing. Is if we could, the one thing we could all agree on. The way I say it now is you're all carrying around a bag of heroin in your pocket. Everybody is, and it's probably even more dangerous in some ways.
Would either of you guys ever run for office?
Are you asking me for real?
Yeah.
No. I think that politics, the way that my dad engaged in it, and that I'm obviously incredibly biased, is an incredibly noble thing. But that's not where my head is in terms of what I want to do. I want to reach. My whole thing is that forget all of this.
Wait, what'd you say? Hunter bred his dead brother's wife and effed the daughter. What is this? That's not real. No. What? This is getting weird, y'all. That's
I want to
weird.
reach 1 million people in addiction. I think one of the biggest things about addiction, and one of the reasons why it continues to be this, epidemic, is that we don't talk about it. Is that you don't even talk about it around your dinner table, and what you realize, if you're coming from my particular unique situation, is that everybody comes to me and they tell me their story, and sharing that is like, breaks that cycle of shame. And so I want to reach 1 million people in addiction.
How about you, Nick? Would you ever run for office?
I don't think so. No.
So I thought that they were going to run for president. I was like, man, somebody going to run for something, because why are they doing it? They said they don't want to run, but I believe they listen, they saying that, but I wouldn't be surprised. So someone says, just to give context, the news of Biden touching his daughter is why Diddy is in prison. Man, child, the Biden administration tried to cover it up and still got out. I don't know that. Like, I'm sorry. I'm not like I don't know everything. So there we go.
Just because I don't think you can fully be authentic when you're running for office, because it's a different role. And I think my role, they say, according to the Overton window idea.
Ideas that are inside the Overton window are ideas that are politically safe. The public is ready to accept them.
They say that if you want to change people's opinions and what they consider acceptable, you kind of have to be the first to the punch and maybe considered a bad person or evil or whatever in order to promote your view. And so that just doesn't lend itself to that kind of politics. So I think to protect my own.
Free Andrew Tate. Andrew Tate is a pedophile. I might just play the video I did about Andrew Tate right after this, because I don't know what are y'all talking about, bro? What are y'all talking about? What is y'all talking about? Y'all crazy. I might go ahead and just because y'all saying free Andrew Tate, because I was gonna end it. It was about to be over with. But hell, if y'all want to keep talking about Andrew Tate, we're gonna talk. We're gonna let it be known about Andrew Tate, bro. Y'all not fixing to be up on my channel like this, like free Andrew Tate. I'm gonna get the exact video that we did covering the whole Andrew Tate and how sick this dude is. Because right after I get done with this, because someone's done, I'm gonna go ahead and let y'all know about y'all loved one, Andrew Tate. That y'all love so much. Got it right here. Got to load it on up. All right, let's finish what we're watching. So.
Integrity and authenticity of the message, I have to not run for office.
See what we just did? We just made probably the entire audience happy. One half is glad I'm not running. The other half is really glad he's not running.
What? If not you guys, then is there any candidate or prospective candidate that you feel like could run in 2028 that would, have a fair shot that y'all support?
Nobody in particular for me. I haven't really been too impressed with who's come out of the Republican Party. So I'm hoping they'll just be somebody we haven't heard of, somebody maybe that hasn't been in office before.
He's voting for Gavin Newsom in 2028.
That's right. Yeah. Well, if it's Newsom and Vance, I'd certainly think about it.
Yeah.
How about you? Anybody that, creates a twinkle in your eye?
No, I think that there are a lot of people. I mean, I know that you think that you're going to laugh at me, but I personally like Gavin Newsom a lot. I think that he's authentic in those beliefs, whether you agree with them or not. Thomas Massey's principled stand as it relates to the Epstein files was incredibly courageous.
Do not let the Senate muck this bill up. I am sorry if one of your billionaire donors is going to get embarrassed because he went to Rape Island.
And that's why he's not going to be a congressman anymore. but that's why, he could potentially make a really strong national candidate.
And you guys think America will exist in a post-Epstein capture freeway?
Will America exist?
Yeah, will America survive the current power structure's stranglehold on the media, the political system, and all public affairs?
I don't know. I think AI is going to really be transformative. It's interesting. Nobody seems to be talking about that.
Transformative in what sense? Like for bad?
Concentration of power. That's the single biggest. And you know what? I'm actually on the liberal side on this with Anthropic over the, let's say, because there's this battle between these effective altruists, effective accelerationists, and I really am.
Wait, Anthropic is on the liberal side, and they're like doing all like the biggest AI for war? The fuck is he? What?
Nervous about what's going to happen, especially in the next 4 years, because they're racing towards this artificial general intelligence, artificial super intelligence, and that, without a doubt, is going to be the single biggest influence on the country. And so I'm really worried about that.
And what about that concerns you? Is it surveillance?
It's the concentration of power in the hands of whoever controls it. Whichever firm is the one to develop ASI, that could confer dictatorial-like powers upon the CEO of that company. So whether that's Sam Altman or it's Dario, if the artificial intelligence is aligned with its creator, that person will become the most powerful person in the history of mankind.
It's almost an inherent truth, in my opinion, what he just said, is that the greatest leap in human evolution is going to happen within our lifetimes. AGI, let alone super intelligence, is everything that we think about the way in which we exist in the world completely changes. And I don't think that that's in any way hyperbole. And if you listen to the people that are developing these technologies right now, they are the most alarmist.
I think AI will probably, most likely, sort of lead to the end of the world.
If you want to know what life's like when you're not the apex intelligence, ask a chicken.
And now, by the way,
And the fuck would you make something that you could even say that about something like that? Like, who would create something that's the description that it's going to do? Like, what is wrong with these people? Like, what? Like, why would you? If I knew something would destroy the world, I'd be like, okay, I'm not gonna do it no more. Like, they're like, okay, imagine that the whole destruction of the world comes. And they're just like, yes, and we have to tailor. Who is controlling these motherfuckers' minds? Like, what is going on? Like, is someone telling them that they have to do this? Who got the gun up to these motherfuckers' heads, bro? Look, watch.
Alarmist.
I think AI will probably, most likely, sort of lead to the end of the world.
If you want to know what life's like when you're not the apex intelligence, ask a chicken.
And now, by the way,
The fuck, bro? You don't have to continue. You don't have to release. It's like you say I'm breeding pit bulls, right? But imagine if these pit bulls it's gonna just come and just go through the community and kill everybody. And they're like, well, imagine the pit bull apocalypse, okay? And we're breeding them right now. Like, what the fuck, bro? And here's the pit bull breeding farm for the pit bull apocalypse. We are just building them up to get ready for the pit bull apocalypse. Why? What is wrong with y'all, bro? One day the pit bulls are gonna take over and just rip everybody's face off. Be ready. Like, what are you talking about? Like, just stop doing it. Stop. Imagine the end of the world times 12. Like, and you have no control. Imagine being an ant and the pit bulls become like the apex predator and you have no control. Like, what? But we're breeding them. They're right here. Pit bulls. We're feeding them every day, and they're just becoming stronger and stronger every day. And one day they will overpower us, and then they will unleash themselves onto the whole world and community. But we're gonna feed them. We're gonna keep the pit bull apocalypse. Like, this is, unless it's like a religious thing that they believe in, that the end of the world must come or whatever the fucking weird shit it is. What are y'all doing, bro? Like, why would you make something like that? Imagine when we are no longer. Why? Why do I have to imagine that? Stop doing that. Stop it. I'm not going to imagine that. I don't want to imagine that. I need you to stop what you're doing, and I don't have to imagine shit about what you're in your imagination of what you're trying to bring about. The fuck is wrong with you, bro? I don't understand the logic. And look at this nigga looks so worried. Look at his face. He looks so concerned. This nigga, like, all the wrinkles is in his face, all at the top of his forehead. The end of all days. The godfather of AI. Imagine the end of everything. You are no longer the smartest thing on this earth. The computer is that you have no control over, that can control everything and just annihilate you. And we can't stop it. Why can't you stop it, bro? Unplug the shit. No, we're gonna get even more. We're gonna we need to take all the water. We need to build more fucking data. Is there an alien civilization saying do it or else? That's the only reason why I would think that someone would build something like this. Do it or else. They have to be. Is there a gun up to your
The
head?
people that are developing these technologies right now, they are the most alarmist.
I think AI will probably, most likely, sort of lead to the end of the world.
If you want to know what life's like when you're not the apex intelligence, ask a chicken.
And now, by the way, I think that there's an enormous possibility for incredibly beneficial things to society, like being able to cure cancer. I just think of this one thing. Everything that AI is built on is ours, belongs to you and you and you, all the way back through the human civilization. That's what they're stealing from us, and they're putting it into the hands of literally a handful of people. All of that human knowledge and the value that comes from it. And I think that that's ours. So any AI that is developed, particularly that goes to HEE, should be it should be communal. It should be shared in the not just the beneficial offshoots of it, but the actual money of it should be shared.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think it's like nuclear bombs, but it's also a commodity at the same time. The weapons potential, the economic potential, I think that's going to be the biggest thing. And I hope on some level that liberals win that argument, because, what Trump is doing with the Pentagon, Anthropic, and OpenAI, the way they're handling it is so reckless and sloppy and just honestly unbelievable. So we need some adults in the room on that one.
Well, it's been a great conversation. I appreciate you guys for coming. You guys have any final questions you want to ask to each other, or maybe a message you want to give to the American people?
I still believe in America, and I truly believe in these conversations. And I think everyone that's watching would think that I would not want to sit down with Nick. And this, I guess, what I'm getting at with you is that I hope you see the humanity in me. And so when the way that you talk in the future takes that into consideration. And what I'll do is I'll see the humanity in you.
Yeah, I agree. I think it was a great conversation. And I think that, we have to come together on the things that we agree on, which is, for example, that we love the country. We both believe in America. We both want the country to succeed. And I like what you said, that we see the fundamental humanity in each other. And I think that, especially in the events of the last year, the killing of Charlie Kirk, you realize that's actually not something that people on both sides share. I think there's people on the right and the left that don't see the humanity in the other side. And so maybe that's the new consensus, or that's where we can come together, is on the basis that, we disagree on fundamental issues, and even sometimes it gets heated and we yell at each other, but that we do ultimately want the best for each other. We love each other. We want the country to succeed. And I think that's a starting point for any solution and any conversation.
Honey, I just want to know who bedroom that was in, bro. Who fucking bedroom? Who hotel room was it shot in, bro? I mean, all that, okay, fine. But who bedroom, hotel room is this? With these uncomfortable chairs. These chairs are so uncomfortable. Like he gotta hold his leg out. This dude is really uncomfortable. Nick Fuentes is short. He's cool. But these two on either side are very uncomfortable. They've been sitting here for 2 hours. There's a bed in the background. Fuck out of here, bro. What are we doing, bro? What hotel is this? Or Airbnb or whatever the fuck. It looks whack, bro. Why not in the front room or like somewhere else? Why the bed? That bedroom must be huge or something. I don't know, but it's crazy. But I've been hearing y'all like up here one is like big up fucking Nick Andrew Tate, and I'm gonna like go ahead. I'm fixing to let y'all have it, bro. We fixing to talk about that right now. We're gonna do that real quick. Let's go.
At DJ Genesis Detroit. Yes, go subscribe to DJ Genesis. The men like Andrew Tate and his brother Tristan, some of the men that these manosphere men look up to and go to sleep dreaming of one day being like the Tate brothers, right? I'm trying to get sharing my I want to share this article, but what in the world? No, I'm not sharing my entire screen. What the heck?
Every time you rip a slab pack, Arena Club makes you an instant offer for your card.
I'm sorry, I
based
didn't
on
pay
its
my
market
premium,
value.
y'all. I ain't
I
pay my
want to win
premium.
more work with Bonsai. Okay, remember these are the guys who are exalted, like the Myron Gaines, like the I gotta say it. No, let me leave Kevin alone. Basically, the Tommy Sotomayors, the men who have led the way in bashing women, sexually objectifying women, and making money and fame off of the hatred and the victimization of women. Let's read this article. The Tate brothers' legal problems are getting worse. Don't forget, Genesis, they had problems in Romania, right? Was it Romania?
Yes.
Okay, so let's see. The Tate brothers' legal
They just got out of jail for some stuff in Romania.
Yeah, they're big time. Hey, they are serious sex traffickers. The Tate brothers' legal problems are getting worse. Here's the latest. Andrew Tate and his brother, his younger brother, Tristan, were arrested again, and they await potential extradition to the UK. Here's what we know. Let's read this. This was just today. This article came out. Andrew Tate, the infamous internet misogynist and human trafficking suspect, was arrested in Miami. What the heck? I thought I had this whole story. I had already logged in. Darn it. I had stuff because, you know, they're notorious for saying very shocking things about women. But definitely, let's go ahead and do that. It's fair use. Share away while I log in.
Going out with a man, she belongs to that man. That's his woman. So she wants to do OnlyFans. She owes him some money because she's his. Yes, that's what I said.
That's crazy. You think if a man, so you think that a man going out with a girl that's just your property? There can't be an equal relationship?
That one was nuts. That one was nuts.
This is where it goes crazy.
No, that one you can. If I understood what you said, that if a guy and a girl is dating and a girl does OnlyFans, she owes him a cut.
No, 100%.
Okay, so this is him talking about women doing essentially prostitution, and he needs a cut. Sounds like pimping to me. What does it sound like to you?
Pretty much pimping, you know?
Yeah. Okay, you can continue.
That's crazy. So he's only dating the girl. So he's saying that if he's dating the girl and the girl decides to do OnlyFans, she should give him a cut. What?
He's disgusting. And that's why he's in jail. He's going to be right in jail with Polite. All these men out here on the internet exploiting women, pimping women, attacking, trafficking children, sleeping with children. They deserve what they get. And he and his brother deserve to be locked up in jail along with the rest of these men who get this fame and money. And they get it from internet followers. They get it from men who aspire to be like them. I'm talking to you, manosphere men. You want to be these guys, these creeps. These are sexual deviants and these are criminals. This is what you aspire to be. This is what you are. Go ahead. Can you play the rest? I got this up, but I'll let you play a little bit more, please.
100%.
She is his girl.
But what does that have to do with anything?
Because she's his.
Yeah, so that's what.
So that is you saying that women are your property.
It's not about being property. It's about the fact that she belongs to him and the intimate parts of her body belong to him because they're in a relationship. And if she wants to sell those, he has a stake in those intimate parts of her body.
So it's reverse. Male porn star owes the woman.
I don't know because I think the women belong to the man. I think the woman's given
that's inherently where you get called sex.
Relationship has
That's crazy. Okay, and so I think that I don't know. In his mind, he believes that women belong to men as an object. Let's go.
Are you Paul?
Yeah, he does believe that.
No, because that means they can talk to other dudes. That's fucking haram. That's atrocious. That's
Pause
disgusting.
it. You notice he said haram? They are Muslims. And that is a big deal too. It
I
doesn't.
wonder how much of this manosphere is Muslim. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
there are a lot covert Muslims who absolutely hate women. They hate women, and they're on this internet telling men to bust women down, calling women whores, calling women all kinds of names, because in the name of Allah, they are. I'm sorry, they are.
Yeah, that's
So,
crazy.
And we know we know that the Quran is okay with women. And to the Muslim brothers and sisters out there who don't do this stuff, don't be triggered. But you are aligning yourself. There are people in the religion who follow Sharia law, and it is not against the law to marry children in these different countries. So I know there are some very beautiful, decent people who are following Islam, but they may not be aware that there are people within the religion, leaders, men that lead the religion. What are they called? The
imams or whatever,
who are okay with this type of behavior against women. 100%.
You know what's crazy is I saw it was they had made it outlawed for people in Somalia, I think, to date women underneath the age of 12 or something like that, and they were crying. There was people that were literally had tears and they cried.
The men
were crying, yeah, because they can't marry underneath the age of 12 anymore. Like what?
Yeah, there was. I think it's Ethiopia where they can kidnap brides as young as 11, and they were taking the girls and saying marriage, but they were sleeping with them. And then when they passed a law against that, it's called bride napping. The country was like, we're still doing it. We don't care, and they still continue to do it even though it's outlawed.
Wow.
So
that's some sick stuff right there. That's some, because I mean, how much? Because I mean, a little maybe this. Could you imagine your 8-year-old child, and then somebody says, "I want to marry your child," and you don't have a choice but to like let that guy marry your child?
Oh my God, I can't even imagine something like that. But it's happening in these countries, and these are the countries that turn a blind eye because they follow Sharia law. They follow this old, antiquated child bride mentality. And let's join that with the Western idea, the new misogyny that's called manosphere, where men they feel safe and comfortable getting on the internet, sexually harassing women, talking about women as garbage, calling women trash, saying women don't deserve to live. Often they say things like that they don't care, right? They do not care what happens to women, calling women animalists, saying they're hyenas because they fight against this disgusting rhetoric. And these are the men these are the roots of these communities. Andrew Tate's, Tristan Tate's, sex traffickers, PEDOs, I'm gonna call them that, or a P3DO. How's that? Like CP3O? Manosphere has a bunch of P3DOs. Yes,
right. P3DOs.
We're calling you out. Some of you say if it was legal, you'd be with 12-year-olds. We're calling you out.
You know what's so funny? I always wonder why they're always talking about a body count, and a lot of these people on these panels will be old as heck, like in their 40s and 30s and late 30s, and they're always talking about body count, and they talk about relationships from the age of like they're teenagers, and I always wondered why are they always talking about things like they're really young and they they're in their teens, and early 20s. Like, you guys are old as molasses talking about body count.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like, some of y'all should be happy somebody y'all still gotta take Viagra at this. Some of y'all do. You know what I'm saying? Y'all getting up there in time and age and everything like that.
Well, you had something on your channel of some sloppy guy in some dirty white tank top talking about men in their 30s should be able to be with 18-year-olds.
Right.
And they are. You had some guy that was sitting there saying it's okay, it should be normalized or something like that, right?
Yeah, that's yeah. Like, I was talking against that guy. I said, why is this? And then the girl went off on she went in on that dude. You know, she was like, why is it that these men looking crazy as heck? Wait, I should send that so you should play it so people can hear how ridiculous did these men sound in this man's.
Well, you can just share it.
Yeah, I gotta find
I'm
it.
over here struggling with getting this. I don't know.
Oh, you're still trying to get that? Okay, I'm gonna find it. But let me
them, and she feels very, very, how do you say, she's elated that they have been once again caught up in the law with their all kinds of stuff. So Genesis, I cannot pull up this article. You're gonna have to help me out.
I'm gonna show you this thing right here where he
Yeah, this is one of the Tate disciples.
What you want to do is save hundreds when Liberty Mutual customizes your car insurance.
That's great, but can you ask?
Let me put it louder.
Should be 18 to 25. 35 to 40-year-old man should be with an 18 to 25-year-old woman. Why? Because he's got his health in check.
Why is it always some big fat funky ass man built like an
Okay,
infected?
pause that. We can't do. I want to play her part. It's hilarious.
She went off.
It's hilarious, but I want to play her part. Okay. Yes.
Like he's talking, he got his health in check and all this other crazy stuff. But honey, your health is not in check, sir. Like, what are we talking? Men talk.
Why is he
delusional? They are
interested?
just as delusional as
He has
as
gray
women.
hair in his beard. Why is he interested in someone who's 18 to 25 years old? Because he's a P3DO. Let's keep it. I'm going to call it out. Shannon Sharp, I'm side-eyeing you. You're a man in your 50s. You were with a 19-year-old. You got everything you deserved. You got everything you deserve. Her family, whoever told her to get those millions from you, shame on you. 19 years old and you're a man damn near 60. You're sick. You're a successful man. I mean, isn't 30 young enough? Right? No, because she's hit the wall by that time. She's developed her own mind and she can actually think for herself. You don't want that. You don't want a woman who can actually say, no, this isn't right. This isn't what you're supposed to be doing to me. You want little girls. You want to attend their high school graduation.
Right, he want to go to prom with them. He want to go to their prom and stuff like 18 years old.
You
That
wanna go to
18-year-old,
prom.
they still going to prom. If you don't get away from my child,
Yeah,
let her go to
and that's
college,
another thing.
look at how much that's going to ruin that woman's life, that little girl's life.
That
But,
little girl's
she's
life.
18 years old. She probably want to go to college. She probably want to go, but he want to insert his old self into her little young life
Disgusting.
and probably impregnate her and have her having buku babies. Laying up and just having babies, and then she be just ruined for the rest of. That's what I see. That's why they want the younger woman so they can just impregnate them and have a bunch of kids, and then that woman is just basically sitting up there. And then when he get tired of her and want to discard her, then she just basically has destroyed her whole 20s by having all these children by this old behind 40-year-old, 35, 40-year-old man.
Yeah, and then what he'll do is they're doing it right now, and I'm moving on from Shannon Sharp. Even if you're in your late 30s, if you're almost damn near 40 and you're looking for an 18-year-old, what you're going to do is give her babies and leave her there so you can sit on the manosphere panels and talk about these baby mamas is the worst parents ever. How do you get a woman pregnant? You don't want to stay with her and raise the children. You leave and then you complain about what a bad parent she is. That is why we're talking about the fruits of these men here, the Tate fruits. These are the tree that we're looking at. Andrew Tate, Tristan Tate, Tommy Sotomayor, all of these men who are toxic, who don't have any type of family values. They want to preach about women, how we don't have that family values, how we're so bad, but they don't have wives, they don't have families. All they want to do is leave a trail of abuse, sexually objectified and sexually abused women behind them, with children in tow. And then they want to sit on the internet talking about bust them down.
Right.
Bust them down. Yeah. The baby mama makers.
Right. Baby mama makers. Exactly. And you know what else is that? Is some of these men will have women, they choose a certain type of weak woman that will actually listen to them on these broadcasts and talking bad about women, and they just sitting in the background. Not saying that, just like, because to me, if I heard my man just sitting up there just bashing women all day, we would have a conversation at some point. I'm like, what's really going on, sir?
Yeah, I
You know
thought
what I'm
that's
saying?
what we were supposed to do. You know, if you're a woman, you want to join those panels, which I've done. I don't join those panels to sit there and, oh, that's right, these women are all whores, and you sitting up there, you're a woman just like everybody else, and you're whatever. Oh, that's right, all these women are trash.
Like, think about like all the women. How does that play on a woman's psyche to hear a man, like you're in the room, you might be cooking dinner, and your man is in a whole nother room bashing women, and you're cooking, you hand him his plate. He's up there, man, you women are whores.
You're changing his baby's diaper and he's complaining about how women don't want to be married, and you're sitting up there and you're not even married. I'm sitting there thinking, damn.
Accountability for nothing. They horny. They think they there. Single mothers are nothing. And then this woman just sitting up there just cooking and just cleaning and doing it. And the woman's in the background listening to this. That gotta be psychologically like harmful.
Of course.
I saw this one video that do you know that mental abuse women that suffer that it's actually more harmful than CTE.
Oh wow, that makes sense. No, I know about that. It's called you can get brain damage from narcissistic trauma. So I'm sure that's one. I think I might have something like that. I don't know. Every woman out there, we need to really evaluate what we've been through in life. And I'm not just saying with men, you could have a narcissistic friend, you can have a narcissistic parent. So I'm saying, yes, the research is coming out, the brain research is coming out about emotional trauma can actually cause brain damage. Yes, I did read about something similar to that. So I don't believe it. I do believe it. I don't doubt it. And Adam, I'm sorry that you have suffered from CTE. It's very common, not spoken of enough, because let's talk about these sports. These sports that are contact sports like boxing and American football, to those two especially, there's so many young men who have been just exploited and brain damaged, and they're just left to just suffer without any type of recognition of the condition and without any type of compensation, So
here it is. This is where it shows. It says emotional abuse causes worse brain trauma than CTE. They did brain scans on women that have suffered emotional abuse. Check it out.
They've been starting to do brain scans on women who have been emotionally abused, and the brain scans actually show worse trauma to the brain than professional athletes with CTE. Like it does cause.
Wow.
I can see that. Yes,
I can see that.
So professional athletes with CTE. I'm not sure if there's a difference between like professional athletes with CTE and regular other CTE that happen or whatever, but I think that's interesting, like professional athletes, right? So
I have definitely heard about narcissistic trauma affecting the actual physiology and biology, the actual biology of the brain, the neurology. So I'm not going to say that's ridiculous, because we're doing more and more research finding out how traumatizing mental stress can be on the body. And getting back to this atmosphere, you're not going to sweep this Andrew Tate stuff under the rug, manosphere. You tried to distance yourself from your hero, Andrew Tate, when he first was busted and exposed for being a child P3DO trafficker. Okay, when they busted him in Europe, and then he scooted his way, he actually slimeballed his way over to America, and he's over here in Miami, and they've been watching him.
He slimeballed his way.
Yeah,
he slimeball. I'm just imagining the slime ball, the slime and slithering off.
Yeah, rolling across the ocean floor. Picking up all kinds of parasites and getting up on the shores of Miami. I'm ready to take in all the women. Oh, the manosphere, the red pill, the red pill. You know what, you red pillers? You make Morpheus of the Matrix very, very ashamed. First off, the Matrix was written by a woman, my friend Sophia Stewart. Shout out to her. It's a woman's storyline from a woman's brain, from a woman's mind. And you're talking about we're red pillars. No, you're not. You are disgusting incels who hate women, who are addicted to corn, who want to be with children because you have arrested development. You stop developing at age 13 from all kinds of mental trauma that you've endured from being beaten down and downtrodden by your mothers. Yes.
Smoking too much weed and playing too much PlayStation.
I don't know about that. Listen, there's other things that they do. That didn't make them hate women. What made them hate women is the cycle of male abandonment. I am going to tell the truth. In the 60s, when LBJ said, I got an idea, we're gonna give these women something to eat for their children. And the men, unfortunately, the fathers, I'm not shaming them because it was hard back then. They could not get work. So the father said, okay, I'm gonna leave the home, and so you and the kids can eat. So a cycle just kept going where men, especially men in communities like the the urban communities, Latinos, Blacks, poor white people, poor white families. They said, I'm leaving the home. And it's been normal for you men to just leave your children, even though you don't have to do that anymore. You leave the woman behind with the kids and you whine and cry about it, how you don't get any attention, because it's a cycle, because you've been abandoned, so you abandon your own children. It has become normalized. And guess who's there to tell you you're right? Good old manosphere, leading the way, Andrew Tate and Tristan Tate and all the other sexual deviants addicted to corn, people wanting to be corn stars. Tommy Sotomayor wants to be a corn star. He thinks it's okay to sit on the internet and beg people to send revenge corn, naked pictures of women without women wanting them to have it. And these are the men that lead these are the men that lead these spaces. These are their heroes. Am I lying?
My thing is, how can you call women bad names and this stuff, but you have an OnlyFans where you're exploiting yourself for money, for money? You're that's a prostitute. Like you are a prostitute, but you want to call women whores and talk bad about women, but you actually exploit your own self, your own body for money and gain. You strip down and you show your whole. But this is honorable. How come no men is like thinking that that's weird? Like, and how many men are tuning into his OnlyFans? And they can lie and pretend like they're looking for the woman. But I mean, I don't know a man that. I mean, if I'm a man, I'm gonna join his OnlyFans and watch him screw women. Like there's some kind of like a erotic, eroticism to that. Like,
yeah, they love it. Right. And this is listen. I'm bringing up people who are leading the way, who are pioneers. Yes. Pioneers of this type of community. They have civil wars amongst each other, but at the end of the day, their common rhetoric is, we hate women, women are the worst, and especially they hate Black women, because we are going to tell them, no, you can't do this anymore. And we remind them of their moms that said, no, you can't do it. You're not going to be able to do this. But we're telling you something that you shouldn't do because it's bad. Your mama told you you couldn't do it because she was telling you that you're worthless, because she was abusing you. And I'm sorry that happened. I'm not making light of that. But what you're not going to do is try to make us pay for what your mom did to you. Go get some therapy. If these men really loved themselves and they love to speak up for men, they would promote therapy. They would promote mental health. They would say, go get a real licensed psychotherapist. Get off the internet listening to these sick, broken men like Andrew Tate and his brother, who said, I'm going to get women back. I'm going to start, they say they love pimping. These men and these
Shouts out to the HOK and Napashda. If you want to watch the rest of that video, you can find it on my stream. If you go to Hey Red Pillars, Manosphere, Is This Your King? Creeps of the Woman Haters. There you go. Go ahead and check it out. It's right there on my page. Watch the rest of it. I'm gonna like wrap this on up. And probably I might end up on Trey the Truth. I don't know. But yeah, if you want to watch the rest of that video, go ahead and watch it. It's right there. It's called Is This Your King? Hey Red Pillars, Is This Your King? And if you go onto my live, click the live click, and then boom, watch the whole thing. And we giving it to Andrew Tate, right? So all y'all that was over here like, oh, Andrew Tate need to be freed. Okay, well, we gave it to Andrew Tate. So shouts out to Napa and I for that. Much love, guys, for watching, being here with me this whole time. Shouts out to the alchemizers and the alchemists of the alchemizing energy family. Much love and peace.
Just when I thought I couldn't find my way out, yeah, I searched the God in me to find my way out. I know it can seem way out, but the Creator flows to and through me from way out. I'm talking way out, yeah. See, if you believe in the God in you,